Good evening. Am I audible and visible? Chetsha, good evening. Kavya, good evening, all of you. Meshak, Kriti, yeah. Let some more people join in and I'll begin. Yeah, good evening, Roshan, Anushka, Nancy, Vaibhav. Yeah, due to some technical issues, I could not start the class on the right time, at the right time at 5 o'clock. A message was sent, I was told, to all the students. I hope you had received the message that the class would be started half an hour late today. You did not get any message? So today, yeah, happy Gudi Padwa. Yeah, you got the message, Ankush. Deepshika says yes. We got message. Okay, thank you. So some people have probably not checked up, or maybe it's on the way, the message. So because of some technical issues, I could not start the class on time. I'm sorry for that. Apologies for that, for the inconvenience caused. Let some more people join in and I'll begin. Good evening. Simran, Pavani, Shailaja, Roshan, Bhimre. Right. Another 2 minutes for 5:30 and then I'll begin. Let some more people join in. So you're clear about whatever I did yesterday. I gave an overview of the subject of ancient Indian history, entire ancient Indian history. I gave an overview or a bird's eye view, and then I began with the first chapter, Stone Age or prehistoric cultures. So it's a type of tool, Bhimare. Okay, it's a type of tool. Just hold on. Yeah. Yeah, I'm coming to Hemlata. I'm coming to pit dwellings. Just hold on. So can we begin? Can we begin? So yesterday I gave an overview of yeah. Shailaja, just hold on. I'm coming to that. So yesterday I gave an overview of ancient Indian history. Right? I gave an overview of ancient Indian history, a bird's eye view. We discussed all these topics in brief: Stone Age, Indus civilization, Vedic period, Maurya period, post-Maurya, Gupta, and post-Gupta. Then I gave you suggested readings for this particular section. Either you read R.S. Sharma, Ancient India by R.S. Sharma, or Poonam Dalal Dahiya, Ancient and Medieval India by Poonam Dalal Dahiya. So one book covers both the segments, ancient and medieval. Or you can read separately two books. One is R.S. Sharma for Ancient India and Satish Chandra for Medieval India. Right? So prehistoric cultures of Stone Age. Yesterday we discussed this. What is history, prehistory, proto-history, what is Stone Age? All the tools and instruments or implements used by early man were made of stone, hence called Stone Age. And Stone Age is divided to Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic, the Old Stone Age, the Middle Stone Age, or the New Stone Age. So basically, man was a hunter and a gatherer in the Paleolithic age. He was nomadic in nature. He would go from one place to another place depending upon the availability of food and water. And he knew how to kindle a fire. But then the fire was used to only keep himself warm and to protect himself from wild animals. He never cooked food on fire. And then, of course, he made crude to specialized tools through the technique of flaking. Through a technique called flaking, he made crude to specialized tools. And he preferred to live in natural caves very near to the bank of a river. Um, that was because he required water for his sustenance, and stones were readily available to make tools and instruments, right? And most of the tools and instruments used by early man, used by Paleolithic man in India, is made of quartz stone. So it is made of a type of stone called quartz stone, and therefore Paleolithic man in India is also called quartzite man. And the Paleolithic age was contemporaneous. It was existing side by side with the Pleistocene epoch or Ice Age. So when the Ice Age was going on, we also have parallelly the Paleolithic epoch going on, or the Paleolithic age going on. Then we came to the Mesolithic age. We looked at the important tools, hand axes, cleavers, choppers, blades, burins, etc. Cleaver is something like maybe a prong or something like that. It's more like that. So that's a cleaver. Now, then we came to the Mesolithic age, Middle Stone Age. So by the time the Mesolithic age began, the Ice Age had come to an end. So, and you have new flora and fauna, new plants and animals on this earth. The weather was warmer. So how was man's life in the Mesolithic age? He continued to be a hunter and a gatherer, but towards the end of the Mesolithic age, on a small scale, he began to engage in settled agriculture and began to practice animal husbandry on a small scale. So settled agriculture on a small scale, animal husbandry on a small scale. So that happened towards the end of the Mesolithic age. And the characteristic tools he used during the Mesolithic age are called microliths, very small stone tools. And also he used hand axes, which were hafted to a piece of wood. So that became a much more effective weapon or a tool. Then we look at the Neolithic age, which is also called Neolithic Revolution. On a large scale, man took to settled agriculture. He also began to engage in animal husbandry on a large scale, and that resulted in a revolution in his life. More mouths could be fed because food was cultivated on farms, and surplus food was stored inside pots. So he began to make wheel turn pottery. In the Neolithic age, wheel turn pottery began. He began to cook food on fire. Now, more since food was immediately taken care of, the necessity of food was taken care of. More mouths could be fed, so the population increased. When population increased, we have the development of villages, tribal communities transforming themselves into villages. Villages grew into cities and towns, and civilizations came into existence. Hence, this is known as Neolithic Revolution, according to Gordon Child. Now, what are the type of tools used by Neolithic man? Polished stone axes. Polished stone axes, which are found in various parts of the country. We looked at the important Neolithic sites in Karnataka, in southern India, like Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Telangana, Karnataka, Northeast India, particularly in Assam, etc. Right? We looked at those things. Now, um, somebody is asking about BC and AD. So here, why do we measure time like that? You see, um, um, Bhimre, see, cleavers. You just Google you just Google a cleaver and picture of cleaver. It is one of the Stone Age tools used, Bhimre, right? Choppers, cleavers, okay, hatchets, harpoons. These are all, um, yeah. How to no see the yeah, Shailaja, I'm coming to that. See here generally. Um, so we have this is one AD, right? This is one AD, 1 AD. And 1 year before 1 AD is 1 BC. We don't have a zero in history. So 1 BC, right? And then this is 2 BC, and so on and so forth. And this is 100 BC. And man is supposed to have evolved on this earth about 4,200 years back, about 4,000 years back. So therefore, life on this earth about 4,200 years back, it is supposed to have evolved. So from the evolution of the earth, we count backwards. From backwards, we go towards 1 AD, and then from 1 AD onwards, we count in a sequential order: 1 AD, 2 AD, right? 1000 AD, 2000 AD, like that. So this is for the sake of convenience. So 1 year before 1 AD is 1 BC, and 1 AD is what? AD is Anno Domini, in the year of the Lord, in the year in which Lord Jesus Christ was born. Anno Domini. the year in which Lord Jesus Christ was born. That is the literal meaning of Anno Domini in Latin language. And 1 BC is before Christ, before Lord Jesus Christ was born, BC. Right? Did you get me that? So that's how it is measured. That's how it's counted. That's for the sake of convenience. Got it, Shailaja? That's how it is. So we count ulta from the evolution of the man towards the period in which we are all staying. Yeah, that is another word for CE. BC becomes BCE because BC has more of a Christian connotation. So before Common Era, and 1 AD is used as 1 CE, Common Era. These are more secular in that sense. It doesn't have a Christian connotation. Okay, so we have discussed Paleolithic age, Mesolithic age, Neolithic age. So let us come to Chalcolithic age. Yesterday we stopped here, Chalcolithic age. Can we proceed? All of us, all of you here, can we go further? Right. Deepshika, you don't need to remember everything. Date lines are not very important. Important ones, just know the sequence of events. For example, Paleolithic age 2.5 lakh to 10,000 BC, Mesolithic age 9,000 to 4,000 BC, like that. The main things you remember: First Battle of Panipat, 1526, April 21st, like that. Main things, right? And no, and then again, UPSC is not going to ask you dates. The sequence of events. For example, conquest of Alauddin Khalji, North India. You don't need to. I myself don't know the dates, frankly speaking, but I know the sequence of events: Gujarat, Ranthambore, Chittor, Malwa, Jalore, and Sivana. So that's how he conquered. Sequence of events. Similarly, South India, he conquered Maharashtra, Yadavas, then Kakatiyas, then Hoysalas, then Pandyas. So, Maharashtra, then you have Andhra, then you have Tamil Nadu, and then you have Karnataka. Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. So, who were ruling Maharashtra? Yadavas. So he conquered the Yadavas. And then you have Andhra Pradesh. Next to Maharashtra, to the right side is Andhra. So he conquers Andhra, defeating the Kakatiyas. Then next next comes Karnataka. So he conquers the Hoysalas. Like that. Everything is not related to date here. UPSC will not ask you date. So look at the previous year questions, you'll understand. But then some things are important. Like, for example, voice is not coming. Hello? Am I not audible? Pritam, all clear? Pritam, yeah, audible, right? Kavya will look at the questions later. Some topics are most of the topics are related to prelims, but then knowledge of prelims will help you to answer questions even in the mains. For example, they have asked about town planning of the Harappans, or how the town planning and culture of the Harappans has influenced present day urbanization. They've asked that. So that would become a mains question. They have asked in the mains. So there could be some, similarly, I told you yesterday from Vedic chapter. We generally, UPSC had never asked questions from Vedic chapter in the mains, but they've asked how the society and religion of the Vedic period is very similar to the society and religion of present times. They've asked that question. So there can, UPSC can give it throw surprises. Okay, we'll come back here. Yeah, I will, Pavani. I just hold on. I will. Now we'll come back to the next phase. We have discussed Paleolithic age, Mesolithic age, Neolithic age. Now let us come to Chalcolithic age. What is Chalcolithic age? Stone Copper age. Stone Copper age. Chalcolithic age. Chalcolithic. Chalcolithic age is Stone Copper age. Stone Copper age. Copper was the first metal to be used by man. So this is called Stone Copper age, Chalcolithic age. Copper being the first metal to be used by man, and it is also called E-Neolithic period. E-Neolithic period. Also called E-Neolithic period. Now, how was man's life in the Chalcolithic age? So he continued to live in rural areas. Okay, he continued to live in rural settlements. Um, he continued to live in rural settlements near the bank of a river, near rivers. Right? He continued to make stone tools. He made stone tools, copper tools, and also microliths. So he used all these type of tools: microliths, very small stone tools, copper tools, and microliths. Now, very interesting. Two things you have to remember about Chalcolithic age, which is very, very interesting. If I might ask you a question, when did man first begin to make pottery? When did man first begin to make handmade pottery? Can you please answer that question? Yeah, there is there is a certain amount of overlap, Ankush. You cannot strictly, have a dividing line as such between Neolithic and Chalcolithic. Many times, many places, you have they existing parallelly. Okay, so Chalcolithic age. When did man begin to first make E-Neolithic period? It's also called E-Neolithic period. No, no. I'm asking, when did man first begin to make handmade pottery? Handmade pottery with the help of hands. When did he first begin to make pots? Mesolithic age. Rohit, very right, very right. Rohit is perfectly right. So he began to make handmade pottery during the Mesolithic age. Very good. So during the Mesolithic age, he began to make handmade pottery. Handmade pottery. Now, when did he begin to make wheel-turned pottery? All of you know Neolithic age. In the Neolithic age, he began to make wheel-turned pottery. Wheel-turned pottery. Now you know that. Now, Shailaja, this is another word for Chalcolithic age, also called E-Neolithic period. Chalcolithic age is also called as E-Neolithic period. Now, please understand, man began to make handmade pottery during the Mesolithic age, Middle Stone Age, and then he began to make wheel-turned pottery during the Neolithic age. But he used to never paint the pots. He used to never paint the pots. He began to paint the pots for the first time during the Chalcolithic age. This is very, very unique. So he began to paint pots, right? So he began to paint the pots for the first time during the Chalcolithic age. This is number one. Number two, and another unique aspect about Chalcolithic age is when excavations were done. When excavations were done, the archaeologists found burials, dead bodies being buried all over a particular place with the head mostly pointing towards the north. And this is a very inexplicable phenomena. What is the reason for this? We don't know. Did you understand? Here, imagine there's a graveyard. This is a graveyard. Imagine there's a graveyard, and we have found hundreds of dead bodies here. Hundreds of dead bodies have been buried like this, next to each other. And what we notice is the head is mostly pointing towards the north. So imagine this is the head of a person who has died. The head is mostly pointing towards the north. So there's a dead body with the head pointing towards the north here. Another person has been buried here. Now, and his dead body, his head is also pointing towards north, and so on and so forth. So the head is mostly pointing towards the north, okay, among dead bodies. So the body was made to lie on its back. A pit was dug up like this. A pit was dug up, right? The body was made to lie on its back, and the person has his head mostly pointing towards north. And the pit was closed. So this is a very inexplicable phenomenon. Did you get me that? And even now among the Hindus, when somebody dies and burial is a method of disposal of dead bodies, the head is mostly pointing towards the north. Even the Harappans had this particular, even the Harappans had this particular, practice where mostly the head is pointing towards the north, sometimes towards the east, sometimes towards the west, and very, very rarely towards the south. So it's mostly pointing towards the north. Why this practice was there, we don't know. As I said, it is inexplicable. So the dead were buried. Take down. The dead were buried. Dead were buried all over a particular place. All over a particular place. all over a particular place with the head, mm, with the head mostly pointing towards north, mostly pointing north, north in not any other direction. So pots began to be painted for the first time during the Chalcolithic period, and then of course the dead were buried all over a particular place with the head mostly pointing towards the north. Right? Uh, we don't know. Vaibhav, it's an inexplicable practice of the Chalcolithic age, and we don't know what was the reason. So we'll come back here. So Chalcolithic period, so also known as E-Neolithic period, copper was the first metal to be used by man along with stone, and Chalcolithic cultures extended from Chotanagpur Plateau to the Upper Gangetic Basin. So Chotanagpur Plateau is somewhere in Madhya Pradesh. So from parts of Madhya Pradesh to the Upper Gangetic Basin, we have the spread of Chalcolithic cultures. So people mostly were living in rural settlements on the banks of rivers near hills. They were the first to use painted pottery. As I told you, the dead were buried in a particular direction all over a particular area with the head mostly pointing towards north. Head is facing north, right? Now, Chalcolithic people did not practice cultivation. How do we know this? Probably they had a hunting and a fishing economy. Probably they had a hunting and a fishing economy, uh, because we have not found any plows. No plow or hoe. What's a hoe? Digging stick. So in any of the uh, Chalcolithic sites, we have not found a plow or a hoe. Hoe is a digging stick. So if this was found, we would have known that they would have practiced even on a small scale a certain amount of agriculture. But in none of the hardly any agricultural tools and implements have been found. So we presume that the Chalcolithic man in India had a hunting and a fishing economy. He did not engage in agriculture, did not practice agriculture. And in South India, the Neolithic age smoothly merged with the Chalcolithic age. Imperceptibly means smoothly, without any dividing line. Very smoothly, it merged with the Chalcolithic age. The Neolithic age merged with the Chalcolithic age. Right? Now look at the tools here, Chalcolithic tools. So stone, copper tools. Stone and along with copper. Now let us look at the important Chalcolithic cultures. Yeah, carbon dating is one, dendrochronology, that is tree ring dating. So many other techniques are there. Thermoluminescence. Thermoluminescence is another method. So there are many methods to find out the dates. Right. So we'll come back here. Major cultures and sites of Chalcolithic period. Now we have some important Chalcolithic cultures. First of all, Ahar culture. On your screen, Ahar culture. Ahar is in Rajasthan. So you see, understand this. In archaeology, there's a tradition or a fashion. In archaeology, there is a tradition or a fashion which is followed. What is the tradition or a fashion? Wherever a culture is first discovered, or wherever a civilization is first discovered, it is named after that type site. Understand this. It is named after that type site. For example, the Indus civilization is also called Harappan civilization. Why? Because this civilization was first discovered at Harappa, therefore called Harappan civilization also. You get me? So similarly, this culture called Ahar culture was first discovered at the site of Ahar in Rajasthan. Therefore, it has been called Ahar culture. So earliest artifacts of this culture found at Ahar and therefore called Ahar culture. So what are the important settlements pertaining to this culture? Gilund, Balathal, Tambavati. Gilund, Balathal, Tambavati. These are the important sites pertaining to the Ahar culture. Then we come to OCP culture. Understand this, OCP culture or ochre colored pottery culture, also called copper hoard culture. So let me explain this part. Look here on your screen. Now we have what is called OCP culture or copper hoard culture. Copper hoard culture. Now, on the banks of the Ganga Yamuna, understand this, on the banks of the Ganga Yamuna, we have found some burials. Understand this, we have found some burials. So imagine there's a burial, right? Now, when such burials were dug up, what did we find there? Apart from the dead body, the skeleton of the dead body, we have found ochre colored pottery. So, ochre, OCHRE, colored pottery. So, what is ochre here? Ochre is your brick color, your brick color. That's called ochre. So, we have found pots which have been painted in brick color or ochre colored pottery. Okay. So, we found that ochre colored pottery, and along with this pottery, which has been painted in almost like orangish color, yellow orangish color, which looks like a brick color. We have found a number of weapons made of copper. Okay, weapons made of copper, and these are hunting and fishing weapons. Hunting weapons, fishing weapons, or fishing instruments, and also war weapons. Hunting weapons, war weapons, and fishing instruments or implements. So these have been found buried. They're all made of copper. Okay, hunting weapons, fishing weapons or fishing instruments or implements, and war weapons. So pots which have been painted in ochre colored have been found along with copper hoards. A hoard is a large collection of for example, a hoard of jewelry. So somebody is digging let us say I say that I found a hoard of jewelry in my farm, under a tree. So a huge cache of jewelry I found. Similarly, this here you have copper hoards, mostly made of consisting of weapons of war or hunting weapons and fishing weapons. Hardly any agricultural tools and implements have been found along with this in these type of graves. So this is called OCP culture or copper hoard culture. I'll show you the picture. Just hold on. You see here on your screen. On your screen, to the right of your screen, you can see these are the various weapons of war, hunting and fishing weapons which have been found. You see here. So you can see here, a spearhead, an arrowhead. This is an arrowhead here. This is another. This is a harpoon. These are harpoons. These are called anthropomorphic figures. Anthropomorphic figures. Anthropomorphic figures. So that is, they have human elements. They look like human figures or human beings. Having human elements, anthropomorphic figures. So such anthropomorphic figures, along with weapons of war, hunting and fishing weapons, have been found, along with ochre-colored pottery. And where have they been found? On the banks of the Ganga and the Yamuna. Are you there with me? Can you raise your hands? Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? Yeah, swords, hatchets. Yeah, this is called OCP culture, ochre-colored pottery culture. If you can see that, OCP culture named after the ochre-colored pottery used by the Chalcolithic people of Ganga Yamuna, Ganga Yamuna Dome. And this culture is also called copper hoard culture, since a large number of copper tools were found with OCP. Shailaja, OCP is ochre-colored pottery. I told you, along with some graves, when graves were dug up on the banks of the Ganga Yamuna, we have found pots which have been painted in ochre color or brick color. And along with that brick colored pottery, we have found weapons of war, hunting and fishing weapons made of copper. Did you understand, Shailaja? That is called OCP culture or copper hoard culture. Yes, they did believe. It suggests that they believed in life after death. That is true. That is the presumption, Deepshika. So, important settlements pertaining to this OCP culture are Gungeria in Madhya Pradesh. On your screen, you can see Gungeria in Madhya Pradesh, Hastinapur in UP, Jodhpura and Ganeshwar in Rajasthan. Jodhpura and Ganeshwar in Rajasthan. This is OCP culture, another Chalcolithic culture. So Ahar culture in the region of Rajasthan, OCP culture on the banks of the Ganga Yamuna. Then we have Malwa culture, Malwa in Madhya Pradesh. So this was discovered at Malwa in Madhya Pradesh, this culture, therefore called Malwa culture. And what are the important settlements or sites pertaining to this culture? Kayata, Navdatoli, Maheshwara, and Iran. So Kayata, Navdatoli, Maheshwara, and Iran. Iran, Iran. So we have evidence of linga worship, that is male sexual organ. They used to worship male sexual organ. When I come to Harappans, we'll talk about it. Harappans used to worship male sexual organ and female sexual organs, linga and yoni respectively. So we see traces or evidence of linga worship or male sexual organ worship or phallus worship in the Malwa culture, and also bull worship. We have evidence of bull worship from there, and bull worship is as old as our civilization. Yeah, the Ankush will come to that. Slowly the Chalcolithic culture evolved into the later day Harappan culture. So it originated during the Chalcolithic period, the Harappan civilization, and slowly bloomed into the later day full-fledged Harappan civilization. Right, and then we come to Maharashtra, Jorve culture. So this culture was first discovered at the site of Jorve in Maharashtra, hence called Jorve culture. So what are the important settlements? Jorve, Inamgaon, Chandoli, Daimabad. So Jorve, Inamgaon, Chandoli, Daimabad. And Daimabad, incidentally, is the southernmost Harappan site also. So famous for the discovery of bronze tools. So we have found bronze tools at Daimabad, and Daimabad was also the southernmost site of the Harappan civilization. So these are the important cultures pertaining to the Chalcolithic culture, Ahar culture, OCP culture, Malwa culture, and Jorve culture. So on your screen, if you see here on the distribution of these Chalcolithic cultures, Ganeshwar Jodhpura culture, that is OCP culture, Ahar culture in Rajasthan, Malwa culture, and then Jorve culture in Maharashtra, Malwa culture in Madhya Pradesh. Right? This is your first chapter. Let us look at the questions now from this chapter. Match the following using the codes given below. So here, wherever there is no bracket, this is from some state service exam which I have taken, or from some source which I found it relevant for the topic. So match the following using the codes below. Koldiva. Koldiva. So here Koldiva is in the Belan Valley. Koldiva, Belan Valley. Burzuhom, Himalayan Valley. Now we have seen this pit dwellings. Somebody has asked about pit dwellings. I think Hemlata asked about pit dwellings earlier. I told you, Hemlata, yesterday, Kashmir is a place of extreme climatic conditions. So the Neolithic people of Kashmir at Burzuhom used to dig up pits under the ground, and they should live in those pits. They should cover the opening of the pit with thatched roofs, and cover it with skin and fur of animals, so that rainfall and snow doesn't get into the pit, and they should live inside those pits. These are called pit dwellings, right? So Koldiva in Belan Valley, Burzuhom, Himalayan Valley, Mehergad. Mehergad is in Bolan Valley, and Meherland in the Brahmaputra Valley. So this is the answer. We move on. Which of the following crops were invented by the Neolithic people of India and gifted to the world? Which of the following crops were invented by the Neolithic people of India and gifted to the world? Wheat, barley, rice. Rice is there. Betel leaves, cotton. So the answer is 3 and 5. So B is the answer. Rice and cotton. Rice and cotton. Right? Not wheat. Rice and cotton. Then earliest evidence of domestication of animals comes from which of the following sites? So Adamgarh in Madhya Pradesh. This is correct. And Bagor in Rajasthan. Not Bhimbetka, not Burzuhom, not Koldiva. So 1 and 3 is the answer. 1 and 3 is the. Shailaja, there's no time for poll. My suggestion is go through the textbooks after the class. Go through the textbooks and attend diligently the tests conducted by Byju's. Whenever we conduct tests, please diligently attend those tests. No time for conducting poll and all that. Try to answer them. Otherwise, without a poll. Now consider the following statements. Earliest evidence of wild rice comes from Chopani Mando. So Chopani Mando is in UP. So this is correct. Earliest evidence of wild rice and earliest evidence of cultivated rice comes from Koldiva. Koldiva is also in UP. So both are correct. Which of the statements are correct? They're asking. Both 1 and 2 are correct. So answer is C. Then earliest bone tools in the country are excavated at Mucchala Chintamani Gavi. Mucchala Chintamani Gavi. So this is in the Kurnool district of Andhra. This site belongs to the Upper Paleolithic period. So now please understand, many times the question bank itself acts as a primary source of information. Understand this, please. See, there is a limitation as to how many textbooks a student can read because you have so many subjects to read and master in the given time, in the limited time given at your disposal. So therefore, many times the question bank, so you'll be answering many questions both online and offline, right? And you might be buying books. So buy question banks from standard publishers. Apart from attending Byju's tests, we have question banks available in the market from standard publishers. So they themselves act as a primary source of information, the question banks itself. Because as I told you, there's a limitation as to how many textbooks a student can read. And this would also help you to master the subject, because from the question bank itself, you'll be coming to know many things new. You might have not read in the textbook, and the examiner would have, the question setter would have taken it from some source. So you go in for standard publishers, not guidebooks, standard publishers in the market, Book Hives, for example, or Tata Magro Hills. They're all very standard publishers. So very few mistakes or hardly any mistakes are there in their publications. So you bank on those such publications. Okay. So earliest bone tools in the country are from Upper Paleolithic period. Mucchala Chintamani belongs to the Upper Paleolithic period as such. Then 2021, you can look at this question. This is a UPSC question asked in 2021 from this chapter. Historical place well known for Burzahom rock cut shrines. So we have seen what are rock cut shrines? Rock cut shrines are rock cut temples. So we never had any rock cut shrines or temples at Burzahom. Burzahom belongs to the Neolithic period, as you know. So this statement is not correct. This match is not correct. Chandraketugad terracotta art. Now this was in the news in 2020 in current affairs. This was in the news. Chandraketugad is in West Bengal. Chandraketugad is a site in West Bengal, and from Chandraketugad we have found a number of terracotta. We have found terracotta hoards. A lot of terracotta objects have been found at a place called Chandraketugad in West Bengal. So this statement is correct. This match is correct rather. Ganeshwar, copper artifacts. This is also correct. OCP culture. You see, go back here. Ganeshwar is one of the OCP sites, ochre colored pottery sites. You can see here on your screen. Ganeshwar. You see this? Ganeshwar. This is an OCP culture, OCP site. So they've asked Ganeshwar, copper artifacts. So that is correct. Copper artifacts. So the answer is, which of the pairs given above are correctly matched? Answer is 2 and 3. 2 and 3 are correctly matched. Yeah? Clear? So this is the first chapter. Any doubts from the first chapter? Students, any doubts? This is the first chapter. As you can see, not many questions have come from this chapter in the UPSC, but then don't neglect any chapter. Go through the entire syllabus once. You never know UPSC. Can we go to the next chapter? Indus civilization. Hello? Upinder Singh, I would say you can read Upinder Singh. Upinder Singh, at least selective reading can be done as regards Upinder Singh. So Malwa, they are all important Chalcolithic cultures. Ankush, Malwa culture, Jorve culture. Question 2. Which of the following, Roshan question, which of the following crops were invented by the Neolithic people of India and gifted to the world? So it is rice and cotton. See, what I would say is there are many books in the market. Okay, there are many books in the market, and you might find some book very important. Don't read guides for UPSC. Don't read guides. Read standard textbooks. What should be the reference point? From whatever you're reading, you should be able to answer the previous year question papers. You should be able to answer the previous questions asked by the UPSC, whether it's prelims or mains or both. Now, that should be the reference point for you. So there are so many books in the market. You should know what not to read than what to read, because there are so many books in the market. So don't get confused. Everything is not important. That's why, one of the reasons why students join institutes is to get some guidance, because so many books are in the market. You should know what not to read than what to read. Yeah, Romila Thap. There are so many books of Romila Thapar, Kavya. As I told you, you might find Romila Thappar's book very good, and you may be able to answer many questions asked in the prelims and the mains. So if that is, and that book is able to satisfy your requirement, please go ahead and read that. But that's why I mentioned here, suggested readings. You see here, it's very clearly given here. I'm not saying you should strictly follow this. Just hold on. See this. What does it say? Suggested reading. This is only a suggestion, right? It is not a rule, thumb rule, that you have to follow only these books. It is only a suggestion given on our part. On our part, we are suggesting these books. You want to read something else, it's up to you. But then again, you can't read too many books, right? Because you don't have the time. If you're preparing for next year or subsequent year after 2 years, then it's a different thing. You have a lot of time to read. But then you might get lost in the maze of books. So many books are there in the market. You can't read everything, isn't it? So therefore, stick to one book, one or two books. Initially, just stick to one book. Become thorough with that book, and then if you require to, and if that book is able to help you to answer questions in the prelims and the mains, then you stick to that book. Don't read more than one book. If you want to read one book, then you might do some selective reading for some chapters, not for all the chapters. For some chapters, you might do some selective reading. That should be sufficient. Yeah, thank you, Shailaja. So we'll come back here. Arun says, I have taken history as an optional. Arun, you just mail me. We'll discuss over mail, right? Please mail me, and whatever I can guide you for history optional, I will definitely do it. Right? It is a vast optional, no doubt. But then, what should be your yardstick is the interest of the subject. If you're interested in a subject, then how much ever you read, you will not get bored. So don't go by the syllabus. You go by the interest in that subject. If you like that subject, it is interesting, then you'll not get bored. So that should be the main thing, main criteria, right? Not the vastness of the syllabus, because you might take some subject which on paper looks small, but then it may be very abstract, and even if the student puts a lot of effort, he or she may not be able to score much. There are some subjects like that. So you go by your pure interest, right? Yeah, great. That is fine. See, the point is, UPSC has given you so much of choice. There are so many subjects, even literature subjects are there. It's up to the student what he or she wants to choose. Now we'll come back here. So we have finished the first chapter. Let us go to the second chapter, that is Indus civilization. So many things may be a repetition. Many of you might know many things about this chapter, but then anyway, we will discuss this thoroughly. Before I proceed, let us look at the questions asked by the UPSC in the mains. Now, from Indus civilization, UPSC asked two questions. Now, let me just jump to the question first and then come back. Look at the questions asked by the UPSC. Prelims, they have asked quite a lot of questions. Mains, let us look at the questions on your screen. Look at this. Two questions have been asked by the UPSC from this chapter till now. Write about the chief features of town planning in the Indus Valley civilization. This was asked in 1996. Write about the chief features of town planning in the Indus Valley civilization. In 2014, to what extent has the urban planning and culture of the Indus Valley civilization provided inputs to present day urbanization? To what extent has the urban planning and culture of the Indus Valley civilization provided inputs to present day urbanization? Discuss. So, two questions have been asked. At the end of this chapter, I hope and pray that almost all of you should be able to answer these two questions, right? They have asked two questions. And of course, we look at the prelims question also. Prelims question asked by the UPSC from this chapter. The Indus civilization overall time span 2500 to 1750 BC. This was given by R.S. Sharma. This is given by R.S. Sharma, 2500 to 1750 BC. So Indus civilization, look at the synopsis. We'll be following this particular structure. We'll discuss culture, what is culture, civilization, urban revolution, then discovery of this civilization, contemporary civilizations which existed along with the Harappan civilization, various nomenclatures, various names by which this civilization has been called or addressed, origin of this civilization, extent, how big this civilization was, important sites pertaining to this civilization, then characteristic features like town planning, polity, society, economy like agriculture, small-scale industries, trade and commerce, weights and measures, religion, script, pottery, seals, burial practices. Then decline, various theories regarding the decline of the civilization, important sites like Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Lothal, etc. Then differences between Harappan and Egyptian Mesopotamian civilizations, and questions which have appeared in the prelims and the mains. Right? So let us talk about this civilization. So important sites of this civilization. As you can see on your screen, there's a map. So most of the sites pertaining to this civilization are located on the banks of the Indus and the Gaggar Hakra. So we have two rivers, Indus River, you can see here, Indus River, and the Gaggar Hakra River. Most of the sites pertaining to the civilization are located on the banks of the Indus and the Gaggar Hakra, and the Harappan civilization or the Indus civilization was spread over major parts of India and present-day India and Pakistan, and some spilling over into even Afghanistan. So major parts of India and Pakistan, you have this civilization spread over. Now, look at the information on your screen. Time span, overall time span of this civilization. Overall time span has given by R.S. Sharma, 2500 to 1750 BC. This is given by R.S. Sharma, 2500 to 1750 BC. Then we have the mature phase. What is mature phase? Mature phase is that phase when the civilization was at its peak and the cities were flourishing. The cities were flourishing and the civilization was at its peak. That's called mature phase, a period of 200 years, 2200 to 2000 BC, mature phase. And then we have post-urban phase. What is post-urban phase? For various reasons, Harappans abandoned their cities and went away to rural areas. For various reasons, Harappans left the cities and went away to rural areas. What are the various reasons why they abandoned? We'll come to that later, the decline of the civilization. So that phase, when the Harappans abandoned their cities and went away to rural areas, is called post-urban phase or sub-Indus culture or late Harappan culture. This is from 1800 to 1200 BC. That is overall time span, right? 2500 to 1750 BC has given by R.S. Sharma. Now we'll move on here. Metal age, use of metals. So man began to use metals from 4500 BC, 4500 BC. So 4500 to 2500 BC, we have the Chalcolithic age, that is stone copper age. Overall time span, 4500 to 2500 BC. Then we have the Bronze Age, 2500 to 1750 BC. Bronze is an alloy of copper and tin, as you know. So when you mix copper and tin, you get bronze. So this is the Bronze Age. right? Overall, Kavya, are these time periods important? Yeah, it is important from the from the topic point of view. You should know the overall time span of the Harappan civilization, mature phase, and the decline. No, the late Harappan phase. Yeah. So we'll come back here. Then 1000 BC onwards, we have the Iron Age. Even now, it continues. It continues till today. The Iron Age, 1000 BC onwards. So let us look at. So we'll be strictly following this synopsis. The what all we'll be discussing thoroughly about this civilization, about this chapter. Culture. What is culture? So what is culture? What is culture? A way of life. Very good, Kavya. Culture is a way of life. Okay. Culture is a way of life. Now, what are the constituents of a culture? Custom, tradition of habit which is followed, way to live life, civilization, tradition, specific way of living in specific area, Sakshi says, usages. Okay, fine, 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 fine. Yeah, yeah, you know quite a lot about what is culture. Let's come back here. Culture is a way of life. It includes the use of all these things on your screen. You know, imagine a tribe. Imagine a tribe. Imagine a tribe. It could be any tribe in any part of India. So let us take a tribe, right? So what are the constituents of a culture? First of all, habitual environment. Habitual environment. So people of a tribe are habituated to be living in a particular environment. So that is number one, habitual environment. Number two, social relations. So you have interpersonal relations, social relations amongst the members of the tribe. So social relations. Number three, language. They communicate through a medium of language. Not that they might or might not have a script, but then they can communicate through a medium of language. Number four, rituals. Everybody in the tribe follows some common rituals. Then they use different types of tools, tool types, different types of tools are there. They use different types of tools and pottery types, different types of pottery, different sizes of pottery, okay, for different purposes. So they use different types of tools and different types of pots. And you could have many cultures in a small area. There could be multiple kinds of cultures in a small area. This is called culture. Culture is a way of life. It includes the use of habitual environment. People are habituated to be living in a particular environment. That's why I said, imagine a tribe. So that a tribe is living here in the forest. Let's say there's a forest area. So one tribe is living here in a small area here. So they are living here. There's a tribe called A. So they are habituated to be living in a particular environment. Okay. Then they have social relations. They communicate through a medium of language. They follow common rituals, and then they use different types of tools and pots, tool types, pottery types, and you could have multiple cultures over a small area, different types of cultures, A, B, C, D. So different tribes having different cultures living almost next to each other over a small area. This is called culture. So bronze means pital. See, bronze is alloy of copper and tin. I'm not very sure, Gunjan, pital. uh, हिंदी में पीतल होगा मेरे को पता नहीं है, right? We'll come back here. So this is about a culture. This is culture. Mandana says kansa. Okay. Now what is bronze in Hindi? I'm not sure, Gunjan. So maybe you can Google and find out. Bronze in Hindi, you type, you'll get the answer. What is bronze in Hindi? Different types of pots, Shailaja. Pottery types is different types of pots. Different types of pots, different types of tools. Tool types, different types of tools, different types of pots. Okay, did you get me that? This is culture. Then that is what is civilization. What is civilization? What is civilization? So it is let us understand this. It is the highest form of culture. The highest form of culture, highest stage of development of a culture is civilization. Now, what does civilization entail? What does civilization entail? Because we are dealing with Harappan civilization. So you should know what is civilization. First of all, people are living in cities. Civilization means it incorporates urban living. People are living in cities. In a culture, tribal culture, people are living in the forest. They're living in rural areas or in the forest. They're not living in cities. Civilization means inevitably people are living in cities. This is number one. Number two, a conscious aesthetic awareness. What is aesthetic awareness? A conscious aesthetic awareness, that is appreciation of art, beauty, appreciation of art, beauty, music, dance, painting, appreciation of all these things is called aesthetics, a conscious aesthetic awareness, appreciation of art, beauty, music, dance, painting, and so on and so forth. Did you get me that? Yeah, it all depends. Civilization, you have American English and the British English. Sakshi, both are correct. S and Z, civilization. It all depends. American English and British English. Okay, so we'll come back here. A conscious aesthetic awareness. Did you understand that? Are Gunjan, don't worry whether it is Pital or something else in Hindi. You just focus on the topic. Then sophisticated religious beliefs. So people have sophisticated religious beliefs in a civilization. For example, people living in the Harappan civilization, there was a what do you call a great bath at Mohenjo-daro. You have a great bath, supposedly a ritual bathing site. Supposedly a ritual bathing site. So this was the pool. This was a pool. This was not a swimming pool though. And you have rooms all around the great bath. We have rooms like this. I'll show you the picture later. I'll show you the picture of the great bath later. So it is presumed, and you have steps going down. You have steps going down to the great bath. So it was presumed that the people used to get into the pool, clean themselves, wash themselves up, and in those rooms adjoining the great bath, some rituals are performed. So people have follow sophisticated religious beliefs. Then you have use of texts. That is, people are literate. Most of the people know how to read and write in a civilization. Use of texts. Then society is unequally divided. That is high class, low class. So somebody are rich, somebody are not so rich. So there is economic stratification. Everybody is not of the same economic strata. You have high and low in economically in a society. Then you have similarity of artifacts. The type of artifacts or things they use on a daily basis are very similar. Similarity of artifacts. And lastly, it covers a wider area. It covers a wide area. When compared to culture, civilization covers a wide area. So these are all the as aspects of civilization or the ingredients of a civilization. People are living in cities. They have a conscious aesthetic awareness. They have sophisticated religious beliefs. They are able to read and write. That is, they are literate. There is economic stratification in the society. It covers a wider area, and you have similarity of artifacts. Right now, look here. Among these 7 points, what do you think is the most, and why? What do you think is the most important, and why? Among these 7 points, Hemalata says artifacts. No, similarity of the things they use on a daily basis, like artifacts. Yeah, Vaibhav, why? Haren says text. Vaibhav says text. Very good. Bhimare says text. Why? Um, not the first kavya. Point 4, use of text. Okay. Point Sriza says use of text. Okay, good. People who have said text is the right answer. Now you look here. Out of the 7 points, people living in a civilization might have everything, but if they have no knowledge of writing, if they're not literate, then they're not considered to be civilized. So use of text is the most important. Do you understand? They might have all the other aspects, but if they have no knowledge of writing, in other words, they're not literate, then they're not considered to be civilized. Okay, did you get me? So this is civilization. So we have looked at it, culture, civilization. Then we come to urban revolution. Urban revolution. So, what are the various aspects of an urban revolution? Number one, technological advancement. Technological advancement. Now, what is technology? If you've seen the three movie, that movie, Three Idiots, you can answer, what is technology? Hello, what is technology? Application of science. Okay, Deepshika. Then, Bhimre, I did not ask you. He's saying zip. Up. No, no, please keep the dignity of the class into consideration. Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, technology is anything which reduces human effort. Hello, come back here, all of you. Anything. Who's that mischievous fellow here? No, Bhimre? Seems to be a very mischievous chap. We'll come back here. So technology is anything which reduces human effort. That is technology, right? So, for example, the invention of the wheel. The invention of the wheel, right? Invention of the wheel is a great technological advancement, right? That is number one. Number two, metallurgy. So anything, Ankush, okay, that is technology, Ankush. Anything which reduces human effort is technology. Hmm? Right. Okay. You didn't get the joke, Roshan. Forget it. I can't explain the joke. If you've seen the movie, you would have understood the joke. But doesn't matter. We'll come back here. Serious now. Let's come back. So technological advancement, metallurgy. So people use metals, right? On a daily basis, you have use of metals, copper, bronze, etc. Then surplus production. That is, you have a surplus production. People engage in agriculture or in small scale industries and crafts, and you have a surplus generated both on the land, that is through farms, as well as in those cottage and small scale industries. So you have a surplus production. Mostly it is pertaining to agriculture. So when you engage in agriculture, you have a surplus produced, and it is stored in grains, or you could have granaries, separate granaries where the excess food is stored, and people therefore have time for other things, cultural pursuits, surplus production, specialization of crafts, specialization of crafts, right? Specialization of crafts. Like, for example, a carpenter can be a better carpenter. His family has been into carpentry, grandfather, father, then the son. Similarly, blacksmith, goldsmith, etc. So, specialization of crafts. Class differentiation, high class, low class. So, somebody is richer, somebody is not so rich. State formation. What is the meaning of state formation? That is, we have a government or a governance system in place. We have a governance system in place. For example, at its peak, it is presumed that in Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, the cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, there were approximately about 35,000 to 40,000 people living there in those cities when the civilization was at its peak. So when so many people are staying in a city, 35,000 to 40,000, you require some governance system in place so that everything goes smoothly. So therefore, that is state formation. And lastly, invention of writing. People know how to write, read and write. They're literate. So when all these things come together, you have civilization happening. All these ushers in civilization. Civilization happens when all these things come together. Technological advancement, metallurgy, surplus production, specialization of crafts, class differentiation, state formation, invention of writing. Okay? Am I there with you? Okay, fine. So urban revolution. So we have discussed culture, civilization, urban revolution. Now, so this civilization, the Harappan civilization, ranks amongst the four contemporary civilizations of the world. The Harappan civilization, the Harappan civilization ranks amongst the four contemporary civilizations of the world. Which is the oldest civilization? The Mesopotamian civilization. The oldest is the or was the Mesopotamia. So Mesopotamian civilization, right? Mesopotamian civilization. Just hold on, Mesopotamia. So this is the oldest civilization, Mesopotamian civilization, on the banks of two rivers, Tigris and the Euphrates. So we have the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Euphrates rivers. And where was Mesopotamian civilization? Present day Iraq, what we now call Iraq. So it flourished there on the banks of the Tigris and the Euphrates. The second oldest is the Egyptian civilization. Second oldest is the Egyptian civilization in Africa on the banks of the river Nile. The third oldest is the Harappan civilization, also or the Indus civilization, on the banks of the river Indus and the Gagar Hakra. So this is the third oldest. And the fourth is the Chinese civilization. The Chinese civilization on the banks of the river Huanghe or Huanghe. Huanghe River. So the Harappan civilization rank, this is the third oldest civilization. Oldest being the Mesopotamian civilization. So oldest is the Mesopotamian, second is the Egyptian civilization, second oldest, third is the Indus, and the fourth is the Chinese. But when you take all these four civilizations into consideration, the largest of the contemporary civilizations was the Harappan civilization or the Indus civilization. So largest was the Indus civilization. In terms of spread, in terms of area, in terms of expanse, this was the largest of the contemporary civilization. And we get to know a lot about this civilization. Of course, the script remains undeciphered. The script even now is not yet deciphered or decoded. But then we could get to know a lot about the Harappan civilization, about their religion, about trade, about transportation, about their culture, etc. We get to know a lot about this civilization. Till now, the oldest site as of now is Bhirana. The oldest Harappan site is Bhirana in Haryana. Bhirana. This is the oldest Harappan site in Haryana. And which is the largest Harappan site? Students, which is the largest Harappan site? Ankush, here when I said class differentiation, it is with respect to economic stratification, not caste, right? When I come to Vedic civilization, I'll talk about it, Ankush. This is economic stratification, not on the basis of a caste or jati. Okay. Okay, which is the so oldest Harappan site is supposedly Bhirana in Haryana, and which is the biggest, which is the largest? Hemalata says Mohenjo-daro, Brajneet says Mohenjo-daro, Vaibhav says Kalibangan. Okay, now listen up. Even in R.S. Sharma's book, this information is not there. A few years back, Hindu newspaper carried a lot of articles. Hindu newspaper carried a lot of articles, and it is yet to be reflected in our textbooks. Now, in India, the oldest Harappan site is a place called Rakhigari. So imagine this is Rakhigari. This is the site of Rakhigari. Imagine this is the size of Rakhigari. Rakhigari is a site in Haryana. Again, now a few years back, mounds were found. What are mounds? A raised portion of the earth like this. Mounds were found near the site of Rakhigari. And when the archaeologists excavated these mounds or dug up those mounds, they found a city underneath. So Rakhigari is much bigger than what it was thought to be. It is much bigger now compared to what it was thought to be. So the biggest Harappan site as of now is Rakhigari. Rakhigari in Haryana is the biggest Harappan site, whether it is India or Pakistan. Biggest. It has overtaken Mohenjo-daro. Second comes Mohenjo-daro. So the oldest Harappan site is Bhirana in Haryana, and the largest Harappan site is Rakegari, again in Haryana. Did you get me that? Hello? So this is the introduction to this topic. We'll discuss about it. And please understand, many of the practices of the Harappans are even now followed by us. So when we discuss this chapter, at the end of this chapter, you'll be able to appreciate and understand how we continue to follow many of the practices of the Harappans. And that's what the UPSC asked in the mains. How the present how the city planning, how the town planning and culture of the Harappans has influenced present day urbanization. How the town planning and culture of the Harappans has influenced present day urbanization. So many of the practices of the Harappans are even now followed by us, even after 5,000 years. So it is very surprising, but it is true. We'll come back here. So this is the introduction to this topic. So Birana is the largest, is the oldest Harappan site discovered till date, as old as 7,500 BC. Till then, it was Mehergarh in Balochistan, Pakistan. Now Birana is older than Mehergarh, and then the largest Harappan site is Rakegari. Rakegari again is in Haryana. Now, how was this civilization discovered? All of you, I am sure you know this particular aspect. How was this civilization discovered? Kavya, just hold on. I'll clear your doubt. Just hold on. Whatever doubts you have, you just write down in a small post-it card and keep it with you. So that at the end of this session, if I have not answered those questions by default, then you can specifically ask me. Uh, right. So I'll come to your doubt, Kavya. Just hold on. So when I come there, you'll understand. Railway construction. Okay, very good. Dayaram Sahni, Alexander Cunningham, railway rails. Tanisha says railway line in by British case. Very good. So, okay, Godavari. So you know how this civilization was discovered. Now understand this. This was a chance discovery of this civilization. Yeah, yeah. So the subject expert has answered that, Kavya, but we'll clear your doubt in some time. Just hold on, Kavya. So discovery of this civilization. You see, by 1850, understand this. By 1850, the British were the masters of this country, isn't it? They came to trade. They came to trade. East India Company was established. They came to trade, and in about 250 years, they became the masters of this country. So they had defeated the French in the Carnatic Wars. They defeated Tipu in the four Anglo-Mysore Wars. Mysore was conquered in 1799. Then, of course, the British defeated Marathas in the three Maratha Wars. By 1818, the British had conquered the Peshwas and the Marathas. And then they conquered Sindh in 1843. And of course, 1849, they conquered Punjab, 10 years after the death of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. So Maharaja Ranjit Singh died in 1839. By 1849, they had conquered Punjab. So by 1850, the British were the masters of this country. And 100 years earlier, that is in 1750, England was experiencing what is known as Industrial Revolution. England was experiencing what is known as Industrial Revolution. So when I come to mains, when I do mains, world history, I'll be handling world history for you. So we have a separate chapter called Industrial Revolution. We'll discuss that in detail when we come to the world history section later in this course. So in the middle of the 18th century, England experienced what is known as Industrial Revolution, and she became the workshop of the world. England became the workshop of the world. She became the workshop of the world. Factories came to be established. So you have new machines which were invented. You have a technological revolution which preceded the industrial revolution. So in fact, the industrial revolution, in fact, was a technological revolution. So machines came to be invented, machines which took the place of human and animal labor. And these machines were kept in huge buildings which came to be called factories. So the industrial revolution inaugurated the modern factory system. So these machines were installed in huge establishments or buildings which came to be called factories. And England had a very powerful navy. England had a very powerful navy and also a merchant marine, a merchant navy. And she had colonies all over the world. England had colonies all over the world. And from these colonies, she used to procure raw materials like raw cotton from America, from India, raw jute. So they were brought on the ships to England, and in those factories, raw cotton, raw jute, etc., were converted into finished products. So, for example, cotton becomes a cotton cloth, raw cotton becomes a cotton cloth, and it was resold in those colonies and in other parts of the world. So here, the British, when they conquered India, when they became the masters of India by 1850, wanted to exploit this country better. They wanted to exploit this country, squeeze this country to the maximum possible extent. So what did the British begin to do? They begin to lay railway lines, roads and railway lines in the nook and corners of this country. Why did they begin to lay roads and railway lines? So that they can procure raw materials from the nook and corners of India and sell the finished products of England in those in the nook and corners of this country. So the British began to lay roads and railway lines. And one such railway line was being laid in the northwest portions of India, what is now called Pakistan. So in that area, a leveling work was going on. So the land was undulating up and down like this. So a British engineer called Charles Mason. So he was a soldier, Charles Mason, and also um, a part-time archaeologist, Charles Mason. So he was in charge of the railway construction here. And leveling work was going on, digging work was going on to level the land so that they can lay the railway track. And when digging work was going on, he noticed something which he had never seen in his life. He noticed burned bricks. He noticed burned bricks, uniform size burned bricks. Some things have been written on those burned bricks. Terracotta objects that is made of clay. Terracotta is what? Made of clay and burnt in the kiln or baked in the kiln. So burned bricks, terracotta objects, seals. What are seals? I'll come to that later. They are clay tablets, either square or rectangular in shape. Clay tablets, either square or rectangular in shape. So Charles Mason noted down in his diary whatever he saw. And it was very fascinating for him because he had never seen anything like this. In fact, Charles Mason was the first to visit the site of Harappa. So he saw this at a place called Harappa. This was as early as 1826. This was as early as 1826. Then, in the middle of the 19th century, 1853, don't worry about the years, 1853 and 1856, we have a person called Alexander Cunningham. So he was an archaeologist, Alexander Cunningham. He also visited the site of Harappa. Alexander Cunningham. He visited the site of Harappa and he also noticed all these things: burned bricks, terracotta objects, and seals. Then we have the archaeological department, which was created in 1865, and for some reason it was closed down and again reopened in 1870. So 1865 it was established, the archaeological department, and reopened in 1870. And Alexander Cunningham was made the head of this archaeological department. Now it is called the ASI, Archaeological Survey of India. Then, in the early part of the 20th century, we have a person called John Marshall, Sir John Marshall, who became the head of the archaeological department. Sir John Marshall. And Sir John Marshall ordered extensive excavations, that is, digging work in the northwest portions of India. He ordered for extensive excavations. As a result, in the year 1921, a person called Dayaram Sahani, D.R. Sahani, or Dayaram Sahani, discovered the site of Harappa or excavated the site of Harappa. And 1922, a person called R.D. Banerjee, Rakhal Das Banerjee, discovered the site of Mohenjo-daro. And in 1924, in a London weekly called the Illustrated London Times, John Marshall, Illustrated London Times, John Marshall announced the discovery of this civilization to the world. And he was the one who called this civilization as Indus civilization, or he called it as Indus Valley civilization. So this is how this civilization was first discovered. Did you get me that? On your screen, you can see, just hold on, you can see here, Charles Mason on your screen, 1826, Charles Mason. first European to discover the ruins of Harappa. So he was an East India Company soldier and explorer while laying tracks for railway line. Then Alexander Cunningham visited the site of Harappa in the middle of the 19th century. Archaeological Survey of India was recreated in 1870 with Alexander Cunningham as its Director General. He was the first Director General. And John Marshall in 1924 announced the discovery of this civilization to the world in a London weekly. It was called the Illustrated London Times. And he was the person who coined the word Indus civilization. He was the one who gave the name Indus civilization to this particular civilization. So this was a chance discovery. Are you there with me? Yeah, you study that as part of modern India, Ketan. Another faculty deals with modern India, so I'll not talk about it. But I just told you how it happened, uh, how this civilization was first of all discovered, how this civilization was discovered. So it was a chance discovery. So this is the picture of Sir Alexander Cunningham, Major General Sir Alexander Cunningham of the late Bengal Engineers, and these are the titles given to him: KCSI, CIE, Knight Commander Star of India, KCSI, Knight Commander Star of India, like that. The British had given these titles to him. And we have Amalananda Ghosh. You have an Indian archaeologist called A. Ghosh or Amalananda Ghosh. He tells us, very interestingly, that it was Alexander Cunningham who was the first to excavate Harappa. Not Dairam Sahani, but Alexander Cunningham. But he failed to notice its historical importance or cultural significance, according to A. Ghosh. Okay, so I've given you a small note on this. Go through it. And Cunningham, he extensively researched about these places: Bairat, Koshambi, Nalanda, Shravasti, etc. Now, let us look at the contemporary civilizations which existed along with the Harappan civilization. The oldest was, of course, the Sumerian or Mesopotamian civilization. In present-day Iraq, in the present-day country of Iraq, we have a civilization flourishing on the banks of two rivers, Tigris and Euphrates rivers. So this was the oldest of the contemporary civilizations. And Harappans had trade and cultural contacts with the Mesopotamians. We have evidence of Harappans having trade and cultural contacts with the Mesopotamians. This is the oldest. Second oldest is the Egyptian civilization. On the banks of the river Nile in Egypt, we have the Egyptian civilization. The third is, of course, the Chinese civilization, um, which developed on the banks of the Huanghe River. Now, till now, we do not have any evidence of the Harappans having um, a cultural context, trade and cultural context with either the Chinese civilization or the Egyptian civilization. So till now, we have no evidence. We definitely know that Harappans had trade and commercial contacts or cultural contacts with the Mesopotamians. So these are the contemporary civilizations which existed along with the Harappan civilization. Then we have various nomenclatures as to how this civilization was addressed or called. Now, initially, this was called Indus Valley Civilization. Understand this? I'll use another page. So, initially, when this civilization was first discovered, it was called Indus Valley Civilization. Why it was called Indus Valley Civilization? Because all these sites pertaining to this civilization were found in the Indus Valley. All the sites pertaining to this civilization were found in the Indus Valley. For example, Mohenjo-daro, Chanhu-daro, Judairjo-daro, Lohomjo-daro, etc. They were all in the Indus Valley and therefore called Indus Valley Civilization initially. Then later it came to be called Indus Civilization. It came to be called Indus Civilization. Why it came to be called Indus Civilization? Because um, sites were discovered or excavated far away from the Indus Valley, as far as Lothal in Gujarat. So Lothal is a site in Gujarat. It is not in the Indus Valley. Similarly, Alamgirpur in UP, very far away in UP, at a place called Alamgirpur, or Daimabad in Maharashtra. So since sites began to be excavated or found pertaining to this civilization far away from the Indus Valley, the name was revised to Indus Civilization. So they began to call it as Indus civilization. This civilization is also called Harappan civilization. Why is it called Harappan civilization? Because Harappa is the first type site. It is the first type site. That is, this civilization was first discovered at Harappa and therefore called Harappan civilization. So, as I told you earlier, in archaeology, there's a tradition or a fashion. Wherever a culture or a civilization is first discovered, it is named after that type site. So, Harappa was the type site of the civilization and therefore called Harappan civilization. Fourthly, it is also called Bronze Age civilization. It is also called Bronze Age civilization. Why? Because Harappans had developed alloy technology. They knew how to mix copper and tin in the right proportion and make bronze out of it. So therefore, it's called Bronze Age civilization. And also, it is called proto-historic civilization. It is also called proto-historic civilization. Why it's called proto-historic civilization? What is proto-history? We have done history, prehistory, proto-history. What is proto-history? Yesterday's class, proto-historic civilization. Harappans had a script. Understand this? After No, Harappans had a script, but whatever they wrote, even now, is unintelligible. We are not able to read the script. Therefore, it is called proto-historic civilization. Unable to read. Very good, Brajneet, Godavari, Deepshika. Yeah, very good. Ankush. So we will do that. Don't worry, Ketan Kumar. We'll be discussing the questions later. Okay, we'll be discussing the questions later. And then recently we have found a site in Kutch. It was in the current affairs. We have found some skeleton in the region of Kutch in Gujarat. It was in the news recently, 4th of April, Indian Express newspaper. So on 18th, we'll have a art and culture webinar. In that, I'll be discussing that particular site, what all have been found and how it is relevant for this chapter, for this particular chapter. Okay, so we will discuss in detail about that. No, right. It is in the region of Kutch in Gujarat. A necropolis also has been found, a vast burial site, and it is as old as 5,200 years. This particular site discovered newly in the region of Kutch in Gujarat. Yes, Ankush, right. So this particular civilization is known by various nomenclatures. On your screen, you can see it is called Indus Valley Civilization. This was a name given by John Marshall, Indus Valley Civilization. Then, because almost all the sites pertaining to this civilization were initially found in the Indus Valley, then it is also called Harappan civilization because Harappa is the type site of this civilization. It was first discovered at Harappa, and therefore this civilization is called Harappan civilization. Then it's called Bronze Age civilization because Harappans knew how to mix copper and tin and make bronze. Therefore, called Bronze Age civilization. It's called Proto-historic civilization because Harappans had knowledge of writing, but whatever they have written is even now undeciphered. Therefore, it is called proto-historic civilization, called by various nomenclatures. Okay, are you there with me? Okay, can we move on? Can we move on? Can I move? Should I continue, or you want to take a 5 minutes break and come back? You want to take a 5 minutes break and come back, or shall we go? Shall we continue? Hemalata says continue. Preetham at 7. We started late, Garima. We started late, so how can I give you a 15 minutes break again? You want 15 minutes break? Okay, Cheshna says 10 minutes at 7 o'clock. Okay, we'll continue for another 5 minutes. Okay. Um, I would say 5 to 10 minutes is fine because we started late today. We lost half an hour because of technical issues, right? But I know you would have been waiting for that. Just hold on. Let me finish here. Let me talk about the origin of this civilization. Hmm? Then we'll think about it. It's 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Okay, we'll come back here. Origin of this civilization. Now, how did this civilization originate? Now, you understand this. When this civilization was first discovered, when was this civilization discovered? 1921. The civilization was discovered in 1921, isn't it? Harappa was the first type site. Now, this was the British time. This was during the British period that this civilization was first discovered. And the British were not able to believe, many of the British archaeologists, like Mortimer Wheeler, he was not able to accept the fact that such an advanced civilization could have existed amongst the ancestors of the Indians, over whom the British were ruling over. They were ruling over us, the British, at that point in time. And some of the British historians, archaeologists, could not accept the fact that such an advanced civilization could have existed amongst the ancestors of the Indians. Because when the Harappan civilization was flourishing, Britain was still in the Stone Age. Britain was still in the Stone Age. So Mortimer Wheeler, one of the British historians, archaeologists, came out with this theory that it is a foreign origin theory. He came out with this foreign origin theory. He said that the Harappan civilization is an extension of the Mesopotamian civilization. He said it is an offspring of the Mesopotamian civilization. Now, Chetan, just hold on. We'll come to that. Just understand this. On what basis did he make this assumption? That it was the Mesopotamians who came and implanted this civilization here in the Indus Valley. So that's the opinion of Mortimer Wheeler. And on what basis did he make this assumption or presumption? On what basis? Now, look here. We have the Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro. I'll show you the picture of the Great Bath. Just hold on. On your screen, this is the Great Bath. On your screen, you see here, this is the picture of the Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro. So this was a ritual bathing site, and you can see rooms around it. You can see here, this is the Great Bath. You have steps going down here, and then steps coming like this. And these are the rooms. You can see the rooms around the Great Bath. These are all rooms. Of course, the roof has collapsed. The roof has collapsed, and it is presumed by historians, archaeologists, that a person would clean himself here. He will take a bath or he'll wash himself here. Once he is clean, you have some rituals performed in those rooms adjoining the Great Bath. Very interestingly, understand this, very interestingly, in one of the Mesopotamian sites, we have found a similar ritual bathing site. Something like a great bath we have found with rooms around it. Now, Mortimer Wheeler saw similarity between this particular great bath and that pool there in Mesopotamia. So it is very, very similar. So because we have again in one of the Mesopotamian sites, a ritual bathing site with rooms adjoining that pool area. This is one similarity. Another similarity he noticed was this. You can see, I just hold on. Look here on your screen. We have these are the pictures of Harappan seals. Okay, the various pictures of Harappan seals. Like I have arranged them in a collage like this, right? Now you see here to the left, to the lower left part of your screen, there's a hero here. There's a hero who's holding two tigers in his hand. Two tigers he's holding two tigers in his hand like that, as if they were two kittens, but they are two tigers he's holding. And this has been depicted on one of the Harappan seals. Two tigers being held by a hero. Now, in Mesopotamia, on a seal there, we have a clay tablet in Mesopotamia. On a seal there, we have a hero called Gilgamesh. Now, please understand, the Mesopotamian script has been deciphered. The Mesopotamian script has been deciphered. So, Mesopotamian script has been deciphered. And most of Mesopotamian script has been called cuneiform script. Cuneiform. Okay, so on one of the Mesopotamian script which is written in the cuneiform language, we have a hero. We have a hero by name Gilgamesh. So his name is Gilgamesh. So this hero called Gilgamesh is holding two lions in his hand. He's not holding two tigers in his hand. On a seal, he's holding two lions in his hand. These are some similarities between the Harappan civilization and the Mesopotamian civilization. And looking at these similarities, Mortimer Wheeler came to the presumption that since the Mesopotamian civilization is older than the Harappan civilization, it must be an extension of the Mesopotamian civilization. In other words, the Mesopotamians came to this region, and they implanted this civilization here. So that's how he said it's a foreign origin theory. So he put forward the foreign origin theory, that it is an offspring of the Mesopotamian civilization. Did you understand here, all of you? Did you understand this? Now, hello, yeah. Now he forgot to notice that the dissimilarities or the differences are more when compared to these similarities. Similarities he has spoken about. What about this? What about the differences? The differences are more than the similarities. For example, the Harappans, as you all know, used to live in well-planned cities and towns. So there's a particular way the cities were planned. Very beautifully planned, well-planned cities and towns. They should live there in well-planned cities and towns. The Harappans. Whereas the Mesopotamians, they lived in cities, of course, but they were haphazardly constructed, like in a slum. There's no particular order or structure in a slum. Like that, they should stay in cities. So it was not well planned, haphazardly planned. That is one difference. The religious practices of the Harappans are different compared to the Mesopotamians. The Harappan script is different when compared to the Mesopotamians. The weights and measures of the Harappans are different from that of the Mesopotamians, and so on and so forth. So the differences are more than the similarities, and therefore this particular opinion of Mortimer Wheeler was rejected. So as I told you, these are hypotheses. These are all in the form of hypothesis. This particular theory was rejected because the differences are more than the similarities. And please understand, since the Harappans and the Mesopotamian were in touch with each other, they might have influenced each other. Harappans might have influenced the Mesopotamians. Mesopotamians would have influenced the Harappans because they were in touch with each other. These two civilizations had trade and cultural contacts. But to say that it was an extension of the Mesopotamian civilization would be utterly wrong. Okay, they might have influenced each other, they might have borrowed certain aspects of each other's civilization, but definitely it was not an extension of the Mesopotamian civilization. Then we come to the second theory, given by a Pakistani archaeologist called Rafiq Mughal, Professor Rafiq Mughal. He says that the Harappan civilization or Indus civilization originated from the Baluchi cultures of Baluchistan. So in present day Baluchistan, Pakistan, we have four cultures: Zob, Quetta, Null, and Kuli. Zob, Quetta, Null, and Kuli. These are called Baluchi cultures, native to the region of Baluchistan in Pakistan. He says that the Harappan civilization, which was an urban civilization, originated from these Baluchi cultures of Baluchistan. Now, he makes this statement, but he doesn't give us any substantiating facts and proof to support this theory. And historians don't agree to this opinion of Rafiq Mughal simply because these are rural cultures. These are not urban cultures, these are rural cultures. And no way, they say, that rural cultures suddenly grew into the full-blown urban culture of the Harappan civilization. No way that a rural culture could have bloomed into a full-fledged civilization, an urban civilization. So this theory again has been rejected by other historians. The most acceptable theory is given by these two people, A. Ghosh, Amanananda Ghosh, and H.D. Sankalia. They say that the Harappan civilization originated from the pre-Harappan cultures of Amri, Kot Diji, and Kalibangan. So Amri in Sindh, Amri and Kot Diji in Sindh, and Kalibangan in Rajasthan. So people here in the pre-Harappan levels. So these were pre-Harappan cultures. These are pre-Harappan cultures: Amri, Kot Diji, and Kalibangan. Now, gradually, these people developed. They began to live in cities. They developed from villages. They began to make cities, live in cities. Those cities were well planned, with well aligned streets, uh, an underground drainage system. They developed alloyed technology. That is, they learned to mix copper and tin and make bronze. They developed script, and slowly it evolved into the later day full blown Harappan civilization. So, this theory of A. Ghosh and H.D. Sankalia has been accepted by most of the scholars, right? This was a purely indigenous civilization. It originated indigenously. It might have borrowed some elements from the Mesopotamian civilization, but then it evolved indigenously. And this theory has been accepted by most of the historians and archaeologists. This is about the origin of this civilization. Are you there with me? The origin of this civilization. Clear? Can we go for a break? Okay, so we are okay. Okay. So Gunjan says evening में pray करना होता है. So okay, with due respect to the Muslim students, we'll go for a 15 minutes break. Okay, you please finish your prayers and come back. So it's not your mistake that there was a technical error. Neither is it mine. We'll make it up in the subsequent sessions. So go for a 15 minutes break and come back. Now it is what 9. We are. It's about 7 now. We'll meet at what time? 7:20. We'll meet at 7:20. Is it fine? 7:20. Go carry on. 7:20. Good evening. Fine, Gunjan. Good evening. Can we move on? Okay. Okay. Let us look at other aspects of this particular topic. Welcome back, all of you. Let's move on. Extent of this civilization. As you all know, the Harappan civilization is was the largest of the contemporary civilizations. Among the four civilizations, this was the largest of the contemporary civilizations, spread over an area of 1.3 million square kilometers. So it was spread over an area of 1.3 million square kilometers. Largest of the contemporary civilizations. Largest civilization. Third oldest, but largest. And the northernmost site is supposedly Manda in Jammu Kashmir. On your screen, northernmost site is Manda in Jammu Kashmir. Southernmost site is Daimabad in Maharashtra. And from north to south, it is 1100 kilometers. 1100 kilometers from north to south. And easternmost site, Alamgirpur in UP. Westernmost site, Sutka Gendor on the Pakistan-Iran border in Balochistan, Pakistan. So where east to west, it is 1,600 kilometers. So remember the northernmost, southernmost, easternmost, westernmost site. Northernmost site, Manda. Southernmost site, Daimabad. Easternmost site, Alamgirpur in UP. And westernmost site, Sutka Kendor. Yeah. What is Dark Age? In what context, Bhimare? In what context? Like, for example, the post-Maurya period is called a Dark Age. There's a particular context in which that is called a Dark Age. Like similarly, Gupta period is called Golden Age by some historians, though it's a myth. The concept of the Golden Age is a myth. Okay, we'll come back here. So extent, we have looked at it. Now look here on your screen. I have put a map. Now look here on your screen. There's a map. Now, where is Manda here on your screen? Where is Manda? Manda is here. Manda is in Jammu Kashmir. Up north, we have another site called Shortugai. Shortugai. And some historians are of the opinion that the northernmost site is not Manda but Shortugai. But many other historians say that Shortugai cannot be considered as a Harappan site or Harappan city. It was only a trading colony. It was not a regular city. Therefore, they reject the opinion that Shortugai can be considered as a city. They say it was only a trading colony, right? So, even in the UPSC exam, in the prelims, in case there is a question which has regards the northernmost site, and then Shortugai is one of the choices given. Out of the four choices, Shortugai is one of the choices given. Then you may mark it as Shortugai. In case there's no Shortugai given, then you mark it as Manda. Are you there with me? Hello? Did you get me? So Shortugai was a trading colony. So most historians don't consider this as a regular city or a site. But then in the UPSC prelims, if Shortugai is given as an option, then it would be correct. If not, then Manda would be correct. I hope that is clear. Can I move on? Okay. Now, they will not give you both options. Hemalata, they will not give you both options. They will give you only one. In case both are given, you mention it as Shortugai. But they will not give you both. In case they give you both, you mention it as Shortugai. Okay. Now let us look at the important sites. Important sites. Now I have given you the sequential order in which these sites were discovered or excavated. But then UPSC will not ask you the sequential discovery of these sites. It may be in other exams like state service exam or the Group B exams. They will not ask you in UPSC. What UPSC can ask you is maybe on the bank of which river a particular Harappan site is located. So the river becomes important, if at all it is on the bank of any particular river. So I have given you the chart here, go through it. You can see on your screen, Harappa was the first site to be discovered. It was discovered by or excavated by Dayaram Sahani. It is on the bank of the river Ravi River in Punjab, Pakistan. Then second Harappan site, Mohenjo-daro, discovered by R.D. Banerjee on the bank of the Indus. So I mentioned it as right bank. Don't worry about the left bank or the right bank. It was on the bank of the Indus. Then Sutka Gendo, excavated by Orelstein on the bank of the Dasht River. Chanhudaro on the bank of the Indus by R.C. Majumdar. Rangpur by M.S. Vats, that is Madho Swarup Vats. M.S. Vats. It is not M.S. Vats, he is not a Britisher, very much an Indian. Madho Swarup Vats. Madho Swarup Vats. M.S. Vats. So he was the one who discovered Rangpur on the banks of the Bhadar River. You may remember the important rivers on which these sites are located. You know, the site and the river, on the bank of which river they are located. The sequential order of their discovery is not important from the UPSC point of view. Lothal is on the bank of the Bogaro River, Ropar on the Satluj, then Kotdiji on the Indus, Kalibangan on the Ghaggar River, Bannawali on the Saraswati, Rakigari on the Ghaggar Hakra or Dushadwati. No, Pihu. No. You're wrong here. Sir, can one reason for not knowing the more about the Indus Valley civilization can be that most of the sites are in Pakistan and they do not allow to excavate them? No, Pihu, you have a number of not only they are also trained people. Archaeologists are trained people. So it will not be a layman who can become an archaeologist. That is number one. Number two is you have a number of foreign experts, foreign archaeologists, experts who are also responsible for excavating a number of sites. Now, apart from the respective archaeological departments of India and Pakistan, a number of foreign experts and archaeologists are also or have been also responsible for excavating these sites. So you cannot say that they have done a lesser job. The Pakistani archaeologist has done a lesser job than that of the Indian archaeologist. No, that would be a wrong presumption, right? We'll come back here. So here, Rakigari is the largest Harappan site as of now. It was discovered in 1963, but excavations began only in 1997. And the latest Harappan site is Dholavira. Understand this? Latest Harappan site is Dholavira. This is latest Harappan site, Dholavira. Latest Harappan site is Dholavira, right? Now, when was this civilization discovered? 1921, which was the first site to be discovered, Harappa. And by 1947, 6 sites had been discovered. That is till we became independent, till India was born. So till India was born, we had discovered 6 sites. But then independence came along with partition. Independence came along with partition. 2 new countries were born in 1947. Apart from India, we have Pakistan. So with the bifurcation of the country, division of the country, 4 sites went away to Pakistan. Out of the 6 sites discovered till then, 4 went away to Pakistan. So at the time of independence, what are the 4 sites which went away to Pakistan? You can see on your screen, Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Chanhudaro, Jukar. These 4 sites went away to Pakistan. Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Chanhudaro, Jukar. And 2 remained in India, Kotla, Nihang Khan and Rangpur. Kotla, Nihang Khan and Rangpur remained in India in 1947, right? Now, as of now, we have more than 1,000 sites pertaining to this civilization. As of now, we have more than 1,000 sites pertaining to this civilization. And out of these 1,000 sites, 220 are mature Harappan sites. 220 are mature sites. And out of these 220, about a dozen are very big cities. Very big cities like Rakigari, Dholavira, Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Kalibangan, Lothal, etc. Right? Now, these are the various scholars, archaeologists, historians who were responsible for excavating sites. S.R. Rao explored the Gujarat area, Kutch and Kathiawar areas, and he himself discovered more than 190 plus sites. Y.D. Sharma explored Punjab, Jagapati Joshi, Kutch area. And in Pakistan, these are the important sites discovered: Kot Diji, Alladino, Balakot, Jalilpur, Gumla, and so on and so forth. So both in India and Pakistan, we have about more than 1,000 sites pertaining to this civilization which have been discovered. Okay, so I'll look into it, Kankush. I'll look into it, and I'll clarify that in the next class, right, Ankush? Tomorrow, let's see. We'll come back here. From whatever source I picked up, it is 1961. Kalibangan was discovered in 1961. Ankush says Kalibangan was discovered by A. Ghosh in 1955. We'll see that, Ankush. I'll clarify that. Now let us look at the various aspects of this civilization. Okay, I have a small announcement to make. Today, I believe there was a webinar for all of you that has been cancelled as faculty is unwell. Hello, are you there with me, all of you? Today's webinar is cancelled as faculty is unwell. New date will be announced soon. Hello? Is that right? Okay, so today's webinar is cancelled as faculty is unwell. New date will be announced soon. Okay. I'll again repeat this later. Okay, we'll continue. So Ankush, give me some time. We'll look into it. Okay. Now let us look at the characteristic features of this civilization. Let us look at the characteristic features of this civilization. Now tomorrow is not a holiday. Why tomorrow should be a holiday? Sakshi, I think Eid is on Thursday. If I'm right, Eid is on Thursday. Eid is a company declared holiday. Tomorrow, I think we have class. Hello? Is Eid on Wednesday or Thursday? Eid is on Thursday. Okay, so on Thursday, we do not have a class. Tomorrow, we have a class. Sakshi, okay? Thursday is a holiday. Okay, we'll come back here. So, characteristic features of this civilization, let us look at it. The most striking feature of this civilization is the remarkable town planning. Hello, all of you, focus now. Now, the most remarkable aspect of the Harappan civilization is the most striking aspect is the town planning. Now, look here on your screen. Now, when you look at the principal cities, so let me talk to you about the town planning of the Harappans. Town planning. Now, when you look at the important cities like Harappa, understand this. When you look at the principal cities like Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Kalibangan, etc., what do we notice? We notice that the city has been divided into two parts. Understand this on your screen. The city is divided into two parts. On the western side, on a raised platform, we have what is known as the citadel area. So this is the western side of the city. This is the eastern side of the city. So the western side of the city has been placed at a height. So this has been called a citadel area, right? This has been called a citadel area. So this has built at a height, and this has been called. So there's a massive brick wall. There's a massive brick wall surrounding this part of the city. So there's a massive brick wall surrounding this part of the city. And what we notice is all the public buildings are found here. All the public buildings are found in the western side of the city. So please understand, again, I'll remind you, when I come to art and culture, we have a topic called art and architecture. when I do art and architecture, I'll be skipping Harappan civilization because I'm discussing this topic in a detailed manner here. Now, town planning of the Harappans, underground drainage system, society, economy, etc. So everything detail, all the details I'll be discussing here. I'll not be doing that again, repeating that in the art and culture section. So, right, we'll come back here. So on the western side of the city, on a raised platform, there's a massive brick wall surrounding this part of the city, and all the public buildings are found here. What do you mean by public buildings? Which are you frequented by the public, which were used by the public. Like for example, the Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro, the Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro, Great Granary at Mohenjo-daro. So this is also located at Mohenjo-daro. Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro, Great Granary at Mohenjo-daro, an oblong multi-pillared assembly hall, an oblong multi-pillared assembly hall, which probably served administrative purposes. Then plus a big rectangular building, Again, these have been found at Mohenjo-daro. All these are located at Mohenjo-daro, a big rectangular building, which probably served administrative purposes. All these have been found in the western part of the city. And this area, this part of the city has been called a citadel. Understand this. This part of the city has been called a citadel or acropolis. This part of the city has been called citadel or acropolis. So, on the western part of the city, on a raised platform, we have all the public buildings found. There's a massive brick wall giving protection to the inmates of the city, and it is presumed by historians. That probably the ruler. We don't know whether there was one ruler or many rulers. It is presumed that the ruler or rulers were inhabiting this part of the city. They were living in this part of the city. Okay, this is one part. Then on the eastern side, we have the lower town. The eastern side is called the lower town. The eastern side is called lower town. Now, we do not have a massive brick wall giving protection to the people living in the lower town. Only at two places, understand this, only at two places we have a massive brick wall surrounding even the lower town. And these two places are Kalibangan and Surkotada. Only in these two places we have a massive brick wall also found in the lower town. So I'll write fortified lower towns. Fortified lower towns are these two only, Kalibangan and Surkotada. So what does it show? Hello, if I might ask you a question. The western side of the city has a massive brick wall meant to give protection to the inmates of the city, whoever were living in that part of the city, whereas the lower town is not fortified. So what does it show? What does it show? Deepshika, I'm saying discrimination, Bhimare. So Bhimare has hit the bullseye. The mischievous Bhimare. Yeah, Bhimare. Right. You're right. Very correct. Bhimare is right. West is for the high class. Citadel was occupied by influential people. So Bhimare is right. This shows discrimination. So class differentiation, isn't it? It shows class differentiation. People living in the western part of the city were considered more important than people living on the in the lower part, that is in the lower town, that is in the eastern part of the city. Ankush, don't presume that way that lowering town is agricultural site for lowering classes for farmers. So one sentence, one word, one or two words, that is class differentiation. As Bhimre has rightly put it, discrimination. So that shows that there was discrimination in the Harappan society. We'll come back here. Now, when we talk about the remarkable town planning of the Harappans, we are referring to the lower town. When we talk about the remarkable town planning of the Harappans, we are referring to the lower town. So let me use another page here. Now, how did the lower town look like? We have roads, understand this, roads running from north to south, roads running from, so I'll use roads running from north to south, east to west, dividing the city into square or rectangular blocks. So you have 90-degree angle streets like this. Just hold on. So roads running from north to south, east to west, dividing the city into square or rectangular blocks. Okay. Now look here. You have houses here. So when you go back, when you go on top, let us say you go in a hot air balloon, and look down, what do you see? You see that the city has been divided to square or rectangular blocks. The city has been divided to square or rectangular blocks. This is called grid system or chessboard pattern. It looks like a chessboard. I'll show you the picture on your screen. You can see here. See on your screen here, the picture. So roads running from north to south, east to west, dividing the city into square or rectangular blocks. Okay, now you have houses here. We have houses here. So these are the houses. Right now, every house had a toilet. Understand this? Every house had a toilet, and every house had a well. So imagine this is the toilet. This is the red color here. This is the toilet. Now, some streets were as wide as 33 feet. Some streets were as wide as 33 feet. Now, let me take the example of just one street. Let me take the example of just one street. Okay, so I'll erase this. I'll just try to explain to you what is grid system or chessboard pattern. So you have an underground drainage system here. Look here on your screen. These are the drains. This is the drain, the small drain here, placed next to the street. Right? There's another drain coming here like this. I'll show you the real picture in some time. Just hold on. This is another drain. There's another drain coming like this. And there's another drain coming like this. And all the dirty water goes and falls into that drain. All the dirty water from the toilet will go and fall into the drain. And these drains were covered. Understand this? There was a slab, something like a manhole, not exactly a manhole. You have stone slabs which would cover the drains. So okay, so this was an underground drainage system, and the drains were made of burnt bricks. The drains were made of the gutter. The gutters were made of burnt bricks and made watertight with lime, gypsum, and mortar. Chunam, lime, gypsum, mortar was put, and it was made watertight. So all the dirty water which is falling into the drain will not percolate down into the earth. So the drains were made watertight. You have slabs, stone slabs covering the drains. So what does it show? We can presume the existence of a municipal authority. There must have been some municipal authority which used to keep those drains unclogged in a functional order. I'll show you the picture, real picture in some time. Just hold on. So all these chota drains, all these small drains are connected to a huge drain. So there's a huge drain going like this. You can see here, there's a huge drain. They're all interconnected like this. So, and all the dirty water coming from all the parts of the street will go and fall in the nearby river. This is the remarkable underground drainage system of the Harappans. So every house had a toilet. Understand this? Every house had a toilet. Every house had a well. And every street had a well. Every street had a well. So what does it show? It shows that Harappans gave a lot of importance to health and hygiene, health and cleanliness, health and hygiene. And please understand, taking bath every day, taking bath is part of our culture. However poor a person is in India, at least once in a day he will take a bath. For example, in the villages, the farmer might not take bath in the morning. Why? Because he has to go to the farm early morning, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. He'll get up and he'll go away to the farm and he'll work the whole day there, till maybe 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and then he'll come back in the afternoon or in the evening, early evening, and then he'll come and take a bath, have food, and sleep. So, taking bath is part of our culture. When the British came here, they were surprised. They were surprised that everybody in India, at least even the poorest of the poor, takes a bath at least once in a day. Because that was not part of their culture. They came from a very cold climate, the Britishers, and you have snowfall for 8 months in a year. You have snowfall in England. So where will they take a bath? So it was very difficult for them because of the weather. Whereas here, we Indians, it's part of our culture. Taking bath is part of our culture. So every house had a toilet, every house had a well, every street had a well. And then we have spittoons placed at the corners of the streets. Spittoons meant for spitting purpose. So we can presume the existence of a watch and ward system, something like a Gurkha system, right? We can presume the existence of that. Right now, the bathrooms were tapering towards one end. Please understand, every house had a toilet. I told you they were tiled bathrooms. So they used to make clay tiles, clay clay tiles. So these were made of clay, and it was baked in the clay. So it was baked in the clay. So it was hard and strong, and such clay tiles would be laid on the surface on the bathroom floor, and the bathroom floor was made slightly tapering. It was slightly tapering towards one end, so that all the water, all the dirty water, whoever is taking a bath or taking, using the toilet there, will all the water will go and fall into the adjacent drain, which is just outside the house, right? So the toilets were placed at the corners of the street. So it is ironic that 60% of India defecates in the open. We have the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan going on. What is the reason for that? 60% of India defecates in the open. And that movie also came a few years back with a social message, Akshay Kumar's movie in Hindi, Toilet Take Prema Katha. No, Toilet Take Prem Katha, right? So that shows, it was a social message. Even in my village, in my ancestral village, government spends money on building toilets, but then the villagers, they take some unusual pleasure in answering nature call outside. Men go out whenever they want. Women, early morning before the sunrise, they go. So it's unfortunate that 60% of India defecates in the open nowadays, whereas our ancestors, everybody had a toilet, everybody had a well. Now, so here the bathroom it was tiled bathrooms. They were tapering towards one end. It was made watertight with lime, gypsum, and mortar. So lime, gypsum, and mortar. What is mortar? Cementing agent, something which will bind the tiles together. So it was made watertight with like this. Right now, um, when it came to the houses, understand this. Some houses were two-storied. So Harappans, some houses were two-storied. That is, it had a first floor. Now, how do you go to the first floor? We have staircases. You have stairs like this, made of solid bricks, bricks and masonry. So the person will climb these stairs and go to the first floor. And some houses were single room tenements meant for the coolies. So again, it shows class differentiation. So those people, some people were better off, some people were not so better off. Some people lived in single roomed houses, like like coolie lines. So these were probably meant for the coolies, and some people also had a first floor, a two-story building. This is an example of a two-story building. Story has includes the ground floor. So this is a two-story building, and you have external staircases. No, not internal staircase. Now, when you enter a Harappan house, how was it designed inside? Look here on your screen. You have open to sky. This is open to sky. So sun, wind, rain will fall through this area, and rooms were built around this open courtyard, a central courtyard. So you can call this as a central courtyard. This one, this red color highlighted one, this is the central courtyard, and rooms were built around it. Until recently, houses were built in India like this. Even now, in villages, in some cities and towns, we have houses like this. All over India, we find such houses. You have an open to sky or a central courtyard around which you have rooms built. Hemlata is asking, did they have their soaps? Um, they must have used something like a soap, Hemlata, maybe something. In the villages they use flour. Flour is used, something which will so that they can scrub. So not like a soap, something like a flour they might have used. Or ash, Pritham says ash, that could be there. Sakshi says her own house is like this. So very good, Sakshi. So here you have a central courtyard around which rooms were there, right? Now, if you enter a Harappan house, understand this, imagine this, you enter a Harappan house and you enter a room. Now, this is the room, right? Now, doors were placed at the corners of the wall. Doors were placed at the corners of the wall. Now, you reflect your own houses. Think of your bedroom. Where is the door placed? At the corner of the wall, like this. Why did the Harappans place their doors at the corners of the wall like this? Anybody? Piyu says sand can be used. Kali mitti. Okay, Chetsha, great. By Vaibhav, how will they use mortar for bathing? That is, they used mortar, something like a binding agent for binding the tiles to the floor so that it was made watertight. Hemlata says space utilization. Very good. Yeah, space utilization. Very good. So you see, when you place the door at the corners of the wall, you can better utilize the space here. You can better utilize the space, right? So Harappans used to place their doors at the corners of the wall like this. Now, one more thing. You must have seen a masonry or a mason, building a wall, a load-bearing wall. You must have seen a masonry or a mason building a load-bearing wall. So let us say you view somebody's house is being constructed, or your own house is being constructed. Let us say. So you have gone there for inspection. So what will the mason do who's building a wall? He will place he'll put nowadays cement and sand, and he'll put a layer of cement. You see this? This is a layer of cement which has been mixed with sand like this. And then he'll place the bricks like this. He'll place the bricks uniformly. He'll place the bricks. Okay, like this. Maybe one or two layers, he'll put it uniform like this. Then, once he has put it uniformly, then he starts arranging the bricks in alternate headers and stretchers on your screen. You see here something like this. He will put one vertical, then one horizontal, and another vertical, another horizontal. So haphazardly he starts putting the bricks. This is called arranging bricks in alternate headers and stretchers. In alternate headers and stretchers. I'll show you the picture. You see here, you see on your screen, you see a picture there. Look at the top layer of the bricks. This is a course of stretchers. Okay, it has been placed like that horizontally. And this is a course of headers vertically. So vertically, horizontally. If you build a wall like this, okay, I'm sure all of you have noticed how a mason is building a wall. This has been ironically called English bond method. English bond method. It should have been Indian bond method. Anyway, it has been called English bond method. If you build a load-bearing wall like this, even now, load-bearing walls are built like this in India. If we build a wall like this, it is supposed to add strength to the building. It adds to the strength of the building. And even now, we are copying the Harappans, right? Now, Harappans used to use sun-dried bricks and as well as burnt bricks. So they used to use burnt bricks. So bricks were made in a mold of uniform size, 4 is to 2 is to 1 in ratio. Uniform size of bricks throughout the civilization. 4 is to 2 is to 1 in ratio. Burnt bricks and also sun-dried bricks. Sun-dried bricks. So they'll make the brick in a mold and then they will dry it in the sun. These are called sun-dried bricks. And also they use burnt bricks. Very less stones have been used. Very less stones have been used in their buildings. And at Kalibangan, we have L-shaped bricks. You see here, L-shaped bricks. Bricks in the form of an L shape. This is for the corners of the wall. When two walls are joining, see, when two walls are joining like that, they have used L-shaped bricks. When two walls are joining, right? So L-shaped bricks have been used, and also Kalibangan has yielded ornamental bricks. So this is the remarkable town planning of the Harappans. This is the remarkable town planning of the Harappans, and more or less till recently we used to follow the Harappans. Even now, um, rooms are built around a central courtyard. English bond method is even now copied by us, and we are using it. Of course, they used to never plaster their walls. Harappans used to build a wall and they used to live it. They used to not plaster the wall, right? And of course, doors and windows were placed at the corners of the wall. One more thing I forgot to mention. Look here on your screen. I erase this. Now, let's say you're taking, understand this. Let's say you're taking a walk in one of the streets of Harappa or Mohenjo-daro or Kalibangan, and you see that side and that side, this side and that side of the road. You have houses on both sides of the road, right? And you're taking a walk in one of the roads, and you see either side of the road. What do you see? You see a plain wall. You only see a plain wall. In other words, none of the houses had their main door and windows facing the main street. So none of the houses had their main door and window or windows facing the main street. So therefore, you only see a plain wall. So obviously, where then the question arises, how did they enter their houses? Where was the entrance to the houses from? The entrance to their houses was from the side lanes, from this side lane. So behind you have a small gully or a small lane. An entrance to the houses was from these side lanes. Entrance to the houses was from the side lanes, right? So none of the houses had their main door and windows facing the main street, except at Lothal. Except at Lothal. Only at Lothal we have the main door of the houses facing the main street. Whereas in all other Harappan sites, we have the entrance to the houses from the side lanes. Now, what is the reason for this? Two reasons are cited. One is, of course, for privacy. One is for privacy. One is for privacy, and the other is for flood protection. flood protection. Did you get me that? And that's how, that's what has been called Tanishta, English bond method, right? Did you get me that? So it could be, two reasons. One is for privacy, because if the main door is facing the main street, then you might not have privacy. And then second reason is flood protection. This is the remarkable town planning of the Harappans. Let me show you some pictures now. We'll come back here on your screen. Town planning, most striking feature: uniformity in city planning in cities like Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Kalibangan. On the west side, on a raised platform, you have the citadel or acropolis, and the lower town was on the eastern side. So I'll show you a picture on your screen. You can see this picture. See this? This is the citadel area. On the western side of the city, on a raised platform, the citadel area. The lower town is on the eastern part of the city. The lower town on the eastern side, right? Then, in the citadel area, we have structures of religious and political significance. Structures of religious and political significance. For example, the Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro, the Great Granary at Mohenjo-daro, oblong multi-pillared assembly hall at Mohenjo-daro, a big rectangular building which probably served administrative purposes again at Mohenjo-daro. So these are all structures of religious and political significance which are found in the citadel area. And there's a massive brick wall surrounding the citadel area, meant for protection to the inmates of that particular part of the city. Lower town, you have the common people living. Lower town, common people used to live. And only at two places we have the lower town also fortified. What are the fortified lower towns? Surkotada and Kalibangan. As you can see on your screen, Surkotada and Kalibangan, fortified lower towns. Cities were built on the grid system or chessboard pattern. For example, nowadays you have main road, crossroad. So just reflect your cities, wherever you're staying. Main road, crossroad, and they're cutting each other at 90-degree angle. We are copying the Harappans. Okay, so cities were built on the grid system or chessboard pattern. Houses were equipped with the wells and tiled bathrooms. You have an underground drainage system which was made of burned bricks. At manholes, we can presume the existence of a municipal authority. You can see here the picture on your screen. Look at the drainage system in Mohenjo-daro. You can see here we have a drain coming out of a house. You can see this is the drain coming out, and it is joining the main drain. And then you have slabs. You see here, there are slabs here. So we can presume that such slabs even covered this part of the drain. So whenever the drain clogged, it was overflowing, they will just push the slab aside, they'll unclog the drain and they'll push it back. Look at the arrangement of bricks and look at the arrangement of bricks here on the floor. They were all made of burned bricks, made watertight with lime, gypsum, and mortar. And we can presume the existence of a municipal authority. And as I've told you, they never used to plaster their walls. They would build their wall and then leave it without plastering it. Right? So drains were made watertight with gypsum, lime, and mortar. We are told that there were lamp posts and spittoons, so we can presume the existence of a watch and ward system. Rooms were built around a central courtyard, open to sky. You can see here on your screen, this is a central courtyard, picture of a central courtyard. So rooms were built around a central courtyard, right? Then doors and windows were found at the corners of the wall and never faced the main street. Only at Lothal, main door is facing the main street. They use burned bricks of good quality. We have uniform size of bricks, 4:2:1 in ratio throughout the civilization. L-shaped bricks were used for corners. Kalibangan yielded ornamental bricks. And some houses were two-storied. Some were single-room tenements meant for the coolies. So you have class differentiation. English bond method to build walls. On your screen, you can see this is English bond method to build walls. No, it was not cemented. What is the main I didn't understand here. We are talking about the remarkable town planning of the Harappans, Shailaja. No, they should live in well-planned cities and towns, whereas people in other civilizations, they should live in cities, but they were never planned like this. Like the Harappans used to live in planned cities. Did you understand, Shailaja? Right? So I told you this is the most striking feature of this civilization. People in other civilizations also were living in cities, but they were not planned cities. Harappans used to live in well-planned cities and towns. Now, look, one more thing you can mention here. So here we saw this. In the citadel area, it is presumed that the ruler or rulers were living, and it is at a height. It is at a height, isn't it? The citadel area is at a height, and you have a massive brick wall surrounding that part of the city. If you look at the power center of India, Delhi, New Delhi, I found this in one book. That's why I'm telling you, you can add that point to your notes and in the examination if required. Where there was in the so if you look at New Delhi, we have Lutyens Delhi, Edwin Lutyens, Edward Baker. They were the ones who designed New Delhi, and capital, as you all know, was shifted from Calcutta to Delhi in 1911. So here, what did they plan? They built the Vice Regal Lodge, which is now called Rashtrapati Bhavan. So there was a forest there, I believe. There was a forest there, and there was a hillock. Okay, that's why it's called Raisina Hill. So what did the British do? They cut down a patch of the forest. A large part of the forest was destroyed, cut down, and the Viceregal Lodge or the Rashtrapati Bhavan was built on that hillock. It is at a height, and that was meant for the Viceroy of India, the most powerful person at those days, in the British time. Representative of the British Crown, the Viceroy. Then you have the North Block, South Block, Parliament House. They were all designed by the British, and they stand out. They stand out from other buildings in that particular city, isn't it? Similarly, we have so this is so you can say that like the citadel area, which was at a height, and that was that where the ruler or rulers used to stay in the Harappan civilization. The inspiration for the Rashtrapati Bhavan or the Viceregal Lodge comes from there because they also have been built at a height. And if you look at the secretariats of various parts of India, in your respective states, the main buildings where the government functions, they look different. For example, St. George in Chennai, that's where the Tamil Nadu government functions from. The secretariat functions from, St. George. It is different from the other buildings in that city. Similarly, we have, let us say, the Vidhana Saudha in Bangalore, Karnataka, where the seat of the government of Karnataka functions from. It looks different from other buildings. It is at a height. So we can say that such buildings, the governmental buildings built as of now, including the Rashtrapati Bhavan or the Viceregal Lodge, is directly inspired by the planning of the Harappans, the city planning of the Harappans, because the power centers were placed at a height. Even you look at so this is what you can write that, right? Did you get me that? We'll come to the questions. Just hold on. Shailaja, why are you so restless? Hold on. We'll come to the questions. We'll cross the bridge when we arrive there. Did you get me that? This is the remarkable town planning of the Harappans. Any doubts, any questions, any clarifications required here? Can I move on? See how flood protection. See, so these are all river valley based civilizations, Deepshika. So every year the Indus used to flood its banks, and once in a while you'll have a gigantic flood. Now, obviously, if the walls are huge and none of the main door is facing the main street, and you only have a wall like this, I'll show you a picture. Just hold on. So imagine this is the wall. Just hold on. I'll show you a picture because a picture speaks 1,000 words. Just hold on. Look at this wall. Now look at this wall here. Deepshika, look at the picture on your screen. See this? So this is the picture of a street from Dholavira, Gujarat. Right now, None of the doors have their main doors and windows facing the main street. Now imagine there's a flood. It is easy to control the flood because the flood water will easily flow away from such a through such a street without the water entering the houses. And where was the entrance to the houses from? From the side lanes. They can easily block the side lanes. They can put bunds, they can put sandbags and prevent the flood water from entering their houses, because the entrance to the houses was from the side lanes, chota lanes, small lanes. The width would be very small. They can easily block it when compared to such a large street. Did you get me that? So it was meant for flood protection also. Clear, Deepshika? I hope I'm able to answer that. You're able to get that. Sakshi, okay, great. So this is the remarkable town planning of the Harappans. Let us look at other aspects of their civilization. Polity. We'll come to polity now. Polity. So what type of a political structure did the Harappans have? We don't know. What type of a political arrangement they had? We don't know. Why don't we know? Because the script remains undeciphered. We are not able to read the script. So once we are able to read the script, we'll come to know more about their civilization. So therefore, we only have to use conjecture, intelligent guesswork or conjecture. Now we have different scholars giving different opinions as regards how the political structure of the Harappans might have looked like. First of all, we have D.D. Kosambi. So D.D. Kosambi says that this civilization was ruled by priests. It was a priestly rule, he says. It was ruled by priests, he says. On what basis did he say this? Understand this. D.D. Kosambi presumes that there must have been a priestly rule. Priests must have been ruling the civilization. In Mesopotamia, that was the case. In Mesopotamia, the king was also the chief priest. In the Mesopotamian civilization, the king was also the chief priest. Like, for example, in a tribal society, in a tribe, the tribal chief is also the chief priest, like the shaman, as they're called, in tribes, among tribes, shaman. So he knows some magic, he knows some rituals, and he'll fool the people by performing these magic and rituals, and they will make him a leader and they'll listen to him. So in a tribe, that's the case. Similarly, in Mesopotamia, we have the king who was also the chief priest. And Didi Kosambi feels that probably this was the case here, that it was a priestly rule. It was ruled by priests. R.S. Sharma differs from Didi Kosambi. R.S. Sharma says it was ruled by merchants, because the Harappans gave a lot of importance to trade and commerce, both internal trade and international trade. Therefore, merchants must have played an important role in the civilization, according to R.S. Sharma. Then we have this British historian called Gordon Childe. Gordon Childe says that there might have existed central government and state governments, and also municipal or local governments. So local and municipal governments, central and state governments. That's what Gordon Childe feels. Then we have Stuart Pigot. Pigot says there might have existed 3 or 4 kingdoms side by side, and Harappa and Mohenjo-daro might have been the principal capitals of these kingdoms. So they might have existed 3 or 4 independent kingdoms side by side, and Harappa and Mohenjo-daro were the twin capitals of this civilization. That's what Pigot says, or Pigot said. But the most acceptable opinion is given by A.L. Basham. A.L. Basham, famous for the book Wonder That Was India. Wonder Part 1, Wonder That Was India, Part 1. Wonder That Was India, Part 2 is by Rizvi. A very interesting book to read, Wonder That Was India by A.L. Basham. So A.L. Basham writes a book. No, I'm sorry, he is of the opinion that it was a centralized administration. And this opinion of A.L. Basham has been accepted by most of the scholars. Why does he say that it was a centralized administration? Because of uniformity seen over in various aspects of the civilization. The way they designed their cities, uniform city planning throughout the civilization. On the western side, a raised platform or citadel area. On the eastern side, lower town. So pretty much similar throughout the civilization, the way they designed their cities. The religious practices of the Harappans. We'll come to the religious practices sometime in this topic. So religious practices of the Harappans throughout the 1.3 million square kilometers, similar religious practices, weights and measures, similar weights and measures. The script of the Harappans is similar. Then the seals they used, the clay tablets, similar. So we see uniformity in all these aspects. And he says there must have been somebody enforcing standardization, uniformity or standardization. And therefore, this opinion of A.L. Basham has been accepted by most of the scholars. Most acceptable view, uniformity in grid pattern, the way they design the cities, brick making, uniform size of bricks, 4:2:1 in ratio throughout the civilization, weights and measures, religious practices, they're all similar throughout the civilization. And this is the most acceptable theory given by or accepted by most of the historians, the opinion given by A.L. Basham. Are you there with me? Okay. Uh, Ankush, I have not come across a moat as far as I know, whatever source I have read. There was no moat. Like in a fort, you have a moat so that the enemy doesn't easily cross into the fort. So what's a moat? Moat is a water body around the fort, right? And they used to have a bridge. In those days, they used to have, for example, if you go to Devagiri, you have a moat there, and you have other forts where you have a moat. They used to keep crocodiles and such things around in the moat, and so that the enemy doesn't easily cross into the fort. And they used to have a bridge. But then I have not come across any moat mentioned in any of the books till now. I don't know where you got this information. Please let me know. Let me read that information, and then I'll be able to get back to you, Ankush. Otherwise, I have not come across any moat mentioned in any of the books. Hmm? Gunjan says, Moretar kya substance hai? Samajh mein nahi aaya. I said mortar, not moretar, Gunjan. That is something like a cementing material, binding medium. Okay, Gunjan. उस जमाने में cement नहीं था. They used to use something like a mud and maybe something else mixed with the mud to bind the bricks, bind the tiles. That is called mortar. Okay, Mortar, mortar. Yeah, soil. Okay, they would have used a soil. मिट्टी जैसे, हाँ, मिट्टी जैसी. Okay, great. Vaibhav, where do I belong from? I belong from the south, but I studied in Kendra Vidyalaya, so I know Hindi. I know Marathi because I speak half Marathi. Okay, so don't worry about my background. We'll come back here. Now, society. We have to discuss the polity part. Let us come to the society. I didn't understand your question, Bimre. Why we see a few places means less population or some places destroyed. I didn't understand what your question is. Shailaja is asking how to remove fear of English speaking. Shailaja, okay. Can I speak about this at the end of this session, Shailaja? Almost end of this session. See, see, Shailaja is asking how to remove fear of English speaking. I'll be digressing from what I'm doing, Shailaja, but then I'll please improve your vocabulary. I'll tell you what to do. Look here on your screen. Just give me 2 minutes. The class. So, see, the thing is, how to improve language, any language. You first start reading you improve your vocabulary. You improve your vocabulary. So, for example, let us say you're reading a newspaper. You keep a paper, you keep a book with you. You keep a book with you, let us say a 100-page book or 200-page book with you. And when you're reading the newspaper, have a colored pen with you, maybe a green pen or a red pen. So when you're reading a newspaper, let us say Hindu newspaper, Hindu newspapers, English is little loaded. Let's say Indian Express. It is much more easier to read and understand Indian Express when compared to English for somebody who is not very good at understanding English, right? So let's say you're reading Indian Express, you come across a particular word, uh, you don't know the meaning of that word. Doesn't matter. You just underline the word in that green color pen or red color pen, and you continue reading the newspaper. Once you finish reading the newspaper, you copy those words in a book, and you give some gap between each word. Let's say 5 6 lines gap you give, and in each page, let us say a small notebook of 200 pages, you cover about 3 words or 4 words in each page with a gap in between. So let us say this is the first word, then this is the second word, third word, fourth word, and write the word here, whatever word that is. And then you look at the dictionary, open a dictionary, keep a good dictionary with you or thesaurus with you, and you find the meaning of that word and write the meaning next to that word, right? So you have understood the meaning of that word. And in one day, similarly for all the words, you write the meaning. So in one day, let us say you have learned 10 words, 10 new words you've learned. In a month, how many words? In 30 days, 300 words. In a month, you have learned 300 words, 300 new words along with their meaning. In a year, let us say, if you follow this process, in a year, 300 words in a month, in a year is how many? 3,600 words. And if, let us say, tomorrow another the same word appears in the newspaper, you don't need to look at the meaning because you've already understood the meaning. Now, once you have improved your vocabulary like that, you start using those words in your conversation. Okay, and don't be ashamed that people will laugh at you, etc. You don't bother about them. You try to speak deliberately English, and use those words. So slowly you'll get the confidence. Uh, watch English programs or listen to All India Radio News, English news on TV, on the radio. So slowly your vocabulary will improve, and you maintain a book, Vren and Martin. You have a grammar book called Vren and Martin. It's available on Amazon. Vren and Martin. Every day spend 20 minutes on grammar, English grammar from this book, Vren and Martin. Okay, 20 minutes you spend. That's it. 20 minutes to half an hour. Every day, half an hour, like you brush your teeth and take a bath. Like that, you spend about 20 minutes to 30 minutes on grammar. And then every day, diligently improve your grammar, vocabulary by reading newspapers. You're covering your current affairs automatically. You're improving your English because you have a compulsory English paper. You have a compulsory English paper and essay paper in the mains. So they're not asking you Shakespearean English, they're asking you simple English. Okay. So improve your vocabulary, improve your grammar, and then you are good to go. Did you understand? Who's this? Shailaja. Okay, welcome back here. Fear is because you find somebody who can speak English, Shailaja. You find somebody who can speak English, and you can improve your English that way. Right? That's the only way to improve your English. Keep speaking English, and it will improve. You'll improve. All these great players, cricket player Kapil Dev, Harbhajan Singh, they're all people who have not studied in English medium, but they have picked up English over a period of time. They have picked up English, and they speak very good English now. It comes down to practice. Okay, come back here. We'll come back here. So where is it? Just another 5 minutes to go. So look at here. Can we move on? And moreover, please understand. Moreover, UPSC is not asking you to take interview in English. You can use your mother tongue if you want to, right? So the option is there. You can write the mains in whatever language you want, and then also take the interview in the language of your choice. So why break your head unnecessarily? Uh, and just because somebody speaks English, that person doesn't mean that person is very smart, right? You have, from my experience, I have seen people from Mufassil towns, small towns, and backward areas. They may not know English, but they are very brilliant and they're very very intelligent. They just have to get over that fear of speaking good English, and then as you keep speaking, it will improve. So we'll come back here. Society. Now, how was the society like? Harappan society like? It was a heterogeneous population. So when archaeologists, historians analyze the skeletons, bones, we come to know that there were four races living in this civilization. Four races: Proto-Australoid, Mediterranean, Mongoloid, and Alpinoid. These are the four races living in this civilization. But at Mohenjo-daro, the most dominant race was the Mediterranean race. The Mediterranean race. So that is, majority of the population belonged to the Mediterranean race. And on that basis, historians say that probably in other Harappan cities also, the dominant population was the Mediterranean race. So there were four races living: Mediterranean, Proto-Australoid, Mongoloid, Alpinoid. As you can see on your screen, Mediterranean, Proto-Australoid, Mongoloid, and Alpinoid. And at Mohenjo-daro, the dominant race was Mediterranean race. And it must have been in other cities also pertaining to this civilization. But there was free racial mixture. So there was free racial mixture, that is Mediterranean, Alpinoid, Mongoloid, they're all mixed together, with intermarriages amongst them. What language they spoke, we don't know. What language they spoke, we don't know. John Marshall says, based on the religious pantheon of these people, the society might have been matriarchal. Based on the religious practices of these people, John Marshall was of the opinion that the society might have been matriarchal. So I'll explain this. I don't think I have the time to explain this, elaborate this. Maybe in the next class I'll explain this. That is tomorrow's class. It was not egalitarian. That is, it was not equal. We know this. It was not an equal society. You have class differentiation. It was a class divided society. How do we know this? Citadel area. People living in the citadel area, they had a huge wall giving them protection. Whereas in the lower town, mostly you have no walls giving protection to the people of the lower town. Some houses were two-storied, whereas some houses were single-room tenement. So you have class differentiation. And what is the language spoken by the Harappans? So historians believe it might have been a Proto-Dravidian language. That is, it became one of the later-day Dravidian languages. And we have the official community of Pakistan called the Brahai. Brahai. This community, Brahui, they are supposed to be the direct descendants of the Harappans. Direct descendants of the Harappans. A fisher community of Pakistan called the Brahais. Right? Now, John Marshall felt that the society might have been matriarchal. That it was, what is matriarchal? Mother is the head of the family. He says society might have been matriarchal. On what basis he said this, I'll tell you tomorrow. Okay, so we'll stop here. I think I've run out of time. Who were living in South India during the time of the Harappan civilization? We exactly don't know Bhimare. We have found some cultures in South India. For example, sometime back, about a year or 2 years back, we found a culture in Tamil Nadu called the Kiladi. At a place called Kiladi, a civilization has been found. And apart from paddy grains, also pots have been found. They have also had the technology to make textiles, dyeing textiles, etc. So this has been found at a place called Kiladi in Tamil Nadu. And when those rice grains were sent by the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Mr. Stalin, he sent those rice paddy grains to America for analysis. For analysis, it was discovered that they are as old or maybe older than the Harappan civilization. So the Tamils are claiming that it was not that civilization came to South India from the north, because the general story told in our history books is that civilization came from the north to the south, and south did not have an independent civilization. But then places like Kiladi is reveals that the Tamils had a independent civilization or a parallel civilization existing along with the Harappan civilization. So still more evidence is required for us to substantially um, know more about the civilizations which existed in the south, right? So we till then, till more information is revealed, we just stick to what is told in the history books. Norman Lewis, I don't know. Norman Lewis book for the vocabulary, I don't know. Vedic period, Ankush, Vedic Aryans, they were nomadic in nature. Understand this? In the Rig Vedic period, Basically, they were pastoralists. So they were not living in cities. They were living in rural communities under in wattle and daub houses, that is thatched houses. So therefore, they were, and also they were not literate. Everything was transmitted orally. Therefore, technologically, they were backward when compared to the Harappans, the Vedic Aryans. We'll come to that when we come to that topic. Language is a medium of communication, Ketan. Whether it's Hindi or English, doesn't matter. It's all our language, our country's language, Hindi or any other languages. English is, of course, there's an English medium class, so I'm teaching in English. Otherwise, um, what is the religion of Harappans? No, there were no Hindus or Muslims or Christians there during those days, Bimre. So, हाँ, ऑफलाइन भी पढ़ाते हैं। जहाँ कहीं कहीं बायजूस हमको बेचते हैं, हम वहाँ पे जाते हैं। आई एम अ बायजू एम्प्लॉय। So nothing like that, Vaibhav. English is given preference in interview, not necessarily. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. See, I had a friend who went to the interview long time back. He's in IPS now. He was from the Kannada medium student. He was a Kannada student from a rural area, but he was an engineer, right? But he wrote the exam in Kannada language and he gave the interview. He opted to give the interview in English, in Kannada. And he is one of the top IPS officers in Maharashtra now. Now, what was his logic? Understand his logic. His logic was, I'll get extra time to think. So when the question is asked in English, right, he understands English. He speaks very good English, but purposely he took Kannada. Why? Because he has got extra time to think, right? So when the question is asked, so the interpreter is given to him. So that person will interpret the question in English, in the local language, from English to the local language. So he's got extra time to think and process the question and then answer it. And he'll answer it in Kannada, and then the interpreter will answer back it in English, back in English. So at one point in time, he told me that the interpreter made a wrong. He when he was interpreting it, he wrongly interpreted it. He corrected that interpreter also because he knew English also. So it all depends. Students are very smart nowadays, and UPSC they want such type of people. गुंजन देखेंगे ऑफलाइन अगर भेजेंगे जयपुर भेजेंगे जो आ जाएंगे देखेंगे तो क्या कैरी ऑन नो लेट्स मीट टुमारो what metal was used to cover the roofs Deepshika where in Harappan civilization yeah, I told you bricks. They have used solid bricks. If they have a first floor, how can they use thatched roof? Obviously, they would have used bricks, isn't it, to make the roofs also. Yeah, Deepshika, did you get me? So we can presume that they knew masonry. Yeah, we can leave now. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good night. We'll meet tomorrow at the same time. Tomorrow we have a class. And no webinar today. No webinar today because the faculty is unwell. So a new date will be notified in due course. Okay, thank you. Good night. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.